Good morning and welcome to Riyadh Masters. We're live from Gamers 8 here, and as Tsunami said, penultimate day, 2 more days remaining. I also hope that Tsunami brought a spare suit, as it's really hot here in Riyadh, so running like that in the heat I'm sure is going to make some people sweat, and we're going to see a lot of people sweat here today on stage, as well as it's about to get even hotter. We have got 5 teams remaining, and we've got eliminations, we've got grand finalist security coming up, as well as we've got our upper bracket finals today. It's a good day to be a Dota fan, and even better for me because I get to share the panel with 3 wonderful people. I'm joined by BSJ, Effie, and Seb. Seb, welcome to the panel.
Yeah,
Again,
thank you.
I should say.
Thanks.
Second time. Having a good time so far here, Riyadh?
Great time. I mean, also the games are incredible. I think that these are some of the hypest games I've seen in a while. So, you know, it's a blast.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep the hype game coming, Effie.
I hope so. I mean, they're a little bit hard to top, especially with the, banger series we saw a few days ago, the Talon Liquid one and the Spirit Weapon one. But you know what? I have high hopes today. The stakes are even higher.
Yeah, ready for today, Brian?
Yeah, I have high hopes, and that's fine if it's less than what it's been so far, because it'll still be fantastic. So
that's about long and short of it, indeed. You're of course watching the Savvy Games pre-show, where we keep you up to date with everything that is happening here at Riyadh Masters and beyond, because there's not just Riyadh Masters going on at this time. You might by now know and be familiar with the Club Awards, but if you're not, let me explain it.
This year, esports will reach new heights. Welcome to the Gamers 8 Club Awards, an unprecedented initiative that will determine the best overall esports club in the world, and also support the entire global community. During Gamers 8 2023, the world's best clubs will compete on 2 levels. First, in each individual tournament, and second, in the overall standings. High placements in every title will earn them ranking points, initiating the race to the top. After 8 weeks of intense competition, the winners of the Gamers 8 Club Awards will be honoured as the best and most successful multi-gaming club in the world. Competitors will fight for the lion's share of $5 million. However, it's not just about the money. On August 30th to 31st, the first annual awards ceremony will take place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The land of heroes awaits its new conquerors.
Yeah, at the moment, it's Gaming Gladiators that is actually topping the list as the only Dota 2 team in the list of the Club Awards. And they are on the right path of getting more points, as they're still in the competition in that lower bracket. And it's time to focus our attention on Riyadh Masters, because we have got some banger games to go through. At least that's what we're hoping for. That's what we're expecting. And I feel like I have to ask Seb, what makes, like, we've seen some great series, right? Some of the best, you said it's some of the best we've seen in such a long time. What's the correct ingredients in getting those series to go, I don't know, that way?
I mean, yeah, several things. First of all is the stakes, of course. I mean, honestly speaking, this is as important as TI for all the teams that are here, and it shows. So the players are hyper-focused, they're super prepared, they come with their best strategies, their best way to execute them, and the way they play the game is they really try to push it, as hard as they can. Therefore, you end up with these really tense situations where nobody made a stupid mistake, nobody died. They are like, everything is flawless. And then, of course, the pressure that comes with these situations of, obviously not wanting to drop the ball. You end up having these, I mean, honestly, that's why you end up having these insane team fights, comebacks, and stuff like that, because players are getting really creative at trying to turn the situation, even when they're playing from behind. But honestly, I can't remember a tournament where we had that much of that. Honestly, it feels like every series, you mentioned the Team Spirit one, even yesterday, the last series that we had, I mean, all the series are crazy and they're nail biters. So I'm really looking forward to what we have coming today. And I think the further we go, the more it's going to be like that.
Yeah, and especially when you mentioned the stakes, we have to take a look at the prize, but we've got $15 million to hand out here at Riyadh Masters. Well, I say hand out, come on guys, it's earned. It is hard-earned money by all these players. They put their life's work into the Dota we are witnessing today. And as we come closer to those grand finals, the stakes just get higher and higher every single time, as we have series today that mean, what is it? 8,000 $800,000. Jeez, I'm even getting tripped up by all these high numbers. A lot of Dota to be played today. And of course, we started this off with 12 teams. And we have only 5 remaining teams. Yesterday, we had 3 elimination series. This is a rough road. 3 elimination series were played yesterday, Brian, and I wanna take us a little bit back to the final series we saw yesterday between Gaming Gladiators and BB Team. That was a spectacle.
Yeah, you know, everyone was talking about they're scared that GG versus Liquid potential in the finals is like going to make the tournament less exciting or whatever. But this run through the lower bracket for GG has been crazy. It started off with that Tundra series and it's continued all the way up until just yesterday. These like third game, crazy back and forths, like Seb mentioned, nail biters, like every single game. They don't fail to deliver, no matter what bracket, upper or lower.
And this is the first time we've seen them make a run through the lower bracket. The question with these teams that are as dominant as Gaming, when they get knocked down, do they have the mental fortitude to withstand the potential elimination? Can they bounce back from their losses? We've never seen them be tested in such a way up until this tournament. So they have been rising to the occasion, and I think they're going to have some kind of evolution until the very end. They'll probably make it to the grand finals, and we're going to have a very cool rematch going on. That's my prediction.
They got a ways to go. Of course, they're still in the lower bracket. They have 2 series to go through if they want to make it to those grand finals. Yesterday, though, they made a great showing indeed against BB Team, which is also one of the finals. One of the favorites. Oh, look at those emotions as well. Love to see those, and that's also how you know that this means so much for the players, Seb. That normally, like a lot of tournaments don't have those emotions anymore.
Yeah, of course. And this also show how much they got tested, Gaming Gladiators, because they really got tested. I mean, if you think of that team now in the lower bracket, I mean, they were behind in most of the games that they actually ended up winning. So we're talking about their mental resources and how much they can handle the pressure. They're showing that they can. But at the same time, what this tournament is also showing is that teams are catching up to them and teams are ready to beat them, because this isn't a team, this does not look like a team that has clean swipe grand finals of majors 3-0. This is a team that is struggling and going like map after map and really, kind of clawing their way through every single game they get to play. They're getting stronger for sure. So let's see how strong they can get and whether or not they can make it to the finals. But I think the road is still really, really long, because yesterday they played 2 series that they could have easily lost. So let's see what today, brings.
Yeah. Yesterday we also had a series between Aster and 9Pandas, and that is where we find our ALJ play of the day. Because when we're talking about players that step it up under pressure with the high stakes, we have to talk about Kiyotaka, Effie, because this is a young kid, and he shows up on LAN, and he plays Invoker and Meepo, and in this case, the Tinker, and he steps it up.
He does step it up. He's so good. He's kind of reminiscent of old school Dundee in the way that he plays, the way he styles on people, his hero pool. But he does have a little bit of tendency to play solo. But in this clip right here, I loved it. This game was so stagnant for so long. 9Pandas were in a losing situation, but the Tinker found his way back into the game, even though he was shut down completely in those first 20 minutes. And he gets a double kill in the fountain, of course, with the help of the ET aura, which amplifies his magic damage and gave him the vision that he needed to kill those 2 supports there. But once you go from dominating the game to getting killed in the fountain, that is a huge transition to go through for the enemy team.
It really is. What is also a huge transition has been for some teams is to drop down from the upper bracket, but not everybody has dropped down, as we can take a look at that upper bracket still real quickly, because yesterday we did not have a single series in the upper bracket, because reality is that there's just more games in the lower bracket than there are in the upper bracket. That means that the road has been fairly short for Team Liquid and Team Spirit, as you see them here sitting in the upper bracket finals, waiting to go head-to-head. Of course, these 2 teams guaranteed top 3 here at Riyadh Masters, and one of them will secure a grand final spot today. As we look at the schedule, we have 2 lower brackets and 1 upper bracket finals. We are going to end the day with Gaming Gladiators once again, and they are awaiting their opponents from the series. That is our first one. TALON versus 9Pandas will be our first series of the day. But of course, when we're talking about the matches today and we have to choose one for our LG match to watch, Brian, it has to be Team Spirit versus Liquid.
I'm so hyped for Team Spirit this tournament. They look like TI-10 winning Spirit, and they're showing once again that was no fluke. The way that they win these games is mind-boggling to me. They played a series against BB Team, and in their 2 victories that they had against them, they were with the net worth lead for less than a minute total. So I don't even know if I've heard that.
That's a crazy statistic, actually. Yeah. This is absolutely insane.
Yeah, they ended one game for the last 15 seconds, and the other game they were never ahead. They ended the game losing.
The thing about Spirit is they fight tooth and nail for every win. Like, you never see their wins be smooth sailing or coasting or just complete stomps. They fight every step of the way. They have to just be so resilient and so persistent. And watching that happen makes you want to root for them. You watch them and they're just... It's something so inherently human about like fighting against obstacles and persevering in the end, and I think that's why they've captured the hearts of so many fans.
And it makes them scary to face, right? Because you're like, if they're gonna win these games, what happens when they're ahead? You know, which games are we winning? So these are really scary teams to face, because they've proven now to everyone that you cannot count us out, and you're gonna have to fight till the very second, and you might still lose. Very scary.
Very scary indeed. Of course, that's our second series of the day. I want to set your alarms for 100%. We're going to focus on our first series of the day, though. We have got ourselves Talon versus 9Pandas. This is our opening series. And one of these 2 teams gets eliminated, of course. It's lower bracket. And this series is a special one for many, many reasons. But Brian, you just want to highlight how good some of these players really, truly are to be here in the top 5 at Riyadh Masters.
Oh, absolutely. This series contains some of the most flashiest players. We already saw the Kiyotaka Tinker, which we're going to see again just in my clips coming up here. And we also have the 23 Savage Morphling, a very staple hero for him throughout this entire tournament and this year. And I think there's so much that goes on in these games that we sometimes miss in the chaos, like exactly some of the crazy plays people make in the moment. So let's go ahead and pull up the clip. And for the first one, we've got a nice team fight between Talon and Liquid in their final game that we will infamously remember as the comeback game.
Yeah. Oh, the game. But before that, I mean, there was a whole game that went before that moment, though. I feel like that moment that we're going to talk about a little bit as well is going to overshadow maybe a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
The rest of the game, but
we see 23 Savage like going into the middle of them multiple times, getting chronoed first, and now he's up against Mikke as well as Zai on the Brood, just like standing his ground. Looks like he's going to go down at any point.
Yeah, and there's so much control there actually coming out of the ET and coming from the Ember teams afterwards. The key ingredient to winning this fight was just Morph surviving that chrono, right? Then he can just turn into Pangolier, swashbuckle in, and hold us the ground against 3 heroes.
That is exactly what we're going to see, and I want to show like exactly what happens between him, Mikke, and Zai that allows him to live. You mentioned he turns into Pangolier, and when we watch in slow motion here, he is going to swashbuckle to disarm Mikke so that he cannot win the mana fight between the 2 of them. And then while all of this is happening, his team is cleaning up for him, and he backpacks his Manta so that his teammate can pass him the cheese. And you're going to see it doesn't necessarily save him, but in the moment itself, he had the presence of mind to be handed a cheese, like backpack an item while fighting 2 heroes, and then end up having that as in his back pocket. And we're going to see the same coming out from Kiyotaka as a fight that's already broken out between 9Pandas and Aster, where you see Kiyotaka TPing in on the Tinker, about to clean up when the BKBs are on cooldown, and just having the audacity to blink into a Monkey King Wukongs like that.
he just goes in, no fear. He's got the Zuma brain. He just goes.
He does. He's one of the ballsiest players I've ever seen. Honestly, like of all time, he's just always blinking, and you think he's gonna die. He goes and fights without BKB, and sometimes he pulls it off, sometimes he doesn't, but it's still awesome to see.
I mean, playing against them feels like you're like, oh, they're coming, and you're like, wait a second, it's only him. Like, it just keeps happening. You know, we now call it. We even had this. We call it mode Kiyotaka, as in when we need to play reckless, we're like, we need to turn on mode Kiyotaka, because like he has zero respect for the bad outcomes.
Yeah. You
know, the only thing he sees is what he might be getting, and that's just a good enough reason. And then he make these plays 1v5. If you look at, you know, if you're interested in this player, just look at replays, look more carefully what he does, and you'll realize that he is tilting the entire opposing team because he has no respect for what might happen. He's just running in backline alone, 2 heroes showing on the map, and he's still doing it. It's absolutely crazy.
When he blinked into that Wukongs, his vision
Yeah.
was the Wukong ring. He didn't see anything else.
He doesn't care.
He just blindly blinked. He's like, oh, there's 3 heroes here. Go, E-blade myself and kill them all. So like that's what you mean by fearlessness. I don't know what else there is blinking into no vision.
But on the same hand, it can come back to bite him in the ass, because I remember in their game versus Bedroom in the upper bracket, they should have won, but he was just making these solo plays around the map, and he die-backed, and they lost the game when they should have won that. So even though it wins them a lot of games, he also has to learn how to reel himself in at some points.
Yeah. I mean, if his goal is to tilt the enemy team, and we need to focus our attention a little bit on Talon, because they are here in the lower bracket after, first of all, very high-skilled game that we just saw a highlight of. 23 Savage is considered the best Morphling in the world, and we know why. We've seen him perform. But we have to talk about this because there's so much pressure on these players. As mentioned, Seb, you watched what happened. I think a lot of people know what happened, but in case you didn't, 23 Savage was a little premature on his celebration of a win that didn't turn out to be a win, and then him and his team still ended up. This is the clip. They thought they won. They killed the cores, most of the cores anyway, and they were thinking, okay, all we need to do is hit the throne. And that's also what Zai did on his Broodmother. And at this point already, there had been a celebration by 23 Savage, and there had been interrupted teleports, and there had been a misclick on a glyph that might have changed the outcome. Here we go.
Ugh, this is heartbreaking.
It's
I mean,
hard.
it's
It
also
really
mega
is.
cringe. Like, it's many things, honestly. But like this takes you back to the most memorable fails in Dota. Honestly, that's just what it is. And you had one with KYXY back in the days when he denied Aegis and they proceeded to get knocked out of TI because of this. Now this is one of the highest stakes game this team has ever played, I would assume. I think it must be the most important game they've ever played. And because of that, honestly, and you could look at him now, the body language, I mean, it really is heartbreaking, especially after how good of a game he played, like, personally, individually. But this is also why Dota requires, the game isn't over until the throne falls. And usually you say that to your toxic teammates that refuse to play the game.
Yep.
It applies in many situations, just as this one. You know, early celebration, many things happened, many things could have happened differently. You know, he didn't keep track of what was going to happen, what was happening in the game. Because if you look at his teammates in these moments, they're super zoned in still.
Yeah.
They're talking about the Brood is ratting, who has CP, what can we do, and it's really tough. It's really tough, you know. But that's what it takes to win these games. At the end of the day, you gotta keep your focus up until the very last second. You cannot let your guard down under any circumstances.
And unfortunately, that's why Talon is in the lower bracket. But this is a team that has got experience in the lower bracket, and I want to believe that they are able to have taken that day that they had off yesterday to fully recover and come in here fresh. Also, there's a lot of pressure on Sunby, the coach, for that to make sure that they all have their head in the game once more, and a lot of pressure on their captain, Jabs, who we are going to learn a little bit more about.
When thinking about Thai Dota players, a few names come to mind. 23 Savage, Mosros, Q, and of course, Jabs. Jabs started his career in 2014, playing in fully Thai teams Everlast and Signature Trust, playing support and then transitioning to mid. They achieved some minor success in Thailand and the Southeast Asian scene, but could never make it big internationally. After spending a few years in Thai teams, Jabs went to Singapore to try his luck in Ice's new team, Team Faceless. The team managed to qualify to both Boston Major 2016 and the Kyiv Major 2017 and achieved a 5th place finish in the latter, ultimately getting knocked out by OG, who went on to win the tournament. Despite their relatively good showing, the team split up only 10 months after formation, after failing to qualify for the International 7. After the split, Jabs and Ice joined Sea Org Mineski together. Jabs stayed on Mineski for a year, leaving after a disappointing 9th place at TI8. The team Jabs is probably most known for, however, is Team Fnatic. He stayed with them for 4 years through several roster changes and managed to play every single role in the team except for mid. This includes captaining from the 3 position, which is a role he still plays in his current team, Talon. Talon has become a staple of the now thriving C Dota scene since their formation, and they always seem to punch above their weight in international events. We're excited to see what they will bring to the table in Riyadh.
Yeah, Talon is not happy until they reach the very top, but they are on the right track. They are top 6 already here, of course, at Riyadh Masters, and they are looking to go even further than that. And I'm sure they can put everything behind them, and everybody is in good spirits. But to get some visual proof of that, we're heading to Jenkins.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, early here at the arena. I hate to break the immersion, because I know when you see this, the arena will already have all the lights and everything. This is what it looks like when it's not set up yet, and all the players are here getting their stuff ready. They obviously have to put their peripherals on the computers before they show up. I saw Kiyotaka, he's over there. I'll be quiet because he's setting his stuff up. He actually doesn't play with a keyboard. He plays with a cockpit of a Boeing 747. That's how he plays his Tinker. There's, of course, Tsunami. Hey, Tsunami, how you doing, buddy? Getting ready to do his stage hosting. Over there, of course, we have Sunbi. He's feeling real intense. On one side, Talon, we got one team that was subject to quite the comeback. And then on the other side, we have a team who did come backing in their series. So we will see today what reigns supreme. But both teams, very, very focused. I can say that much. And you know who else is focused? You guys at the panel.
Very focused teams, that's what we want, because that brings out the best Dota 2. Focusing on 9Pandas here as well. This is FE, the team that has played 36 games. To put that in perspective, Talon has played 20. So many more games. That must be something good going for them.
Yeah, I mean, you could also argue that they might be a little bit more tired than the average team, but some teams just thrive in these circumstances where they get to play more, learn more, test their limits more, and just feel more prepared coming into big stakes like this. 9Pandas, I think, are one of the stronger teams left in this tournament, and a lot of teams have underestimated their ability to play outside of their specialty heroes, and teams have been caught off guard with simply how good they can play in the laning phase.
Yeah, we usually see this team very heavy on tempo. Like Ramses will be a 1 or 2 item stunning carry like Sven or Alchemist or Jug, and we have Miero on a summons offlaner that's building the auras, and they hit this insane timing. But what impressed me the most yesterday was they threw together this Doom, Enigma, Morphling, Tinker. I can't imagine like a greedier lineup than that.
ET also, like.
Yeah, ET. They just stalled the game for 30 minutes, a complete change of pace, like day and night from what they normally do, and they look good there too. So I don't know what this team can't do.
They also picked Enigma into Rubik. They're fearless.
Yeah, we had Miero as the MVP of yesterday's series as well. He's been having a stellar performance. Also one of his, well, this year, one of his first lands, as he has only really stepped on stage this year. And as you can see, the countdown is live, and that means we are moments away from getting our first series on our screens. And I'm very excited for this series. We heard Ramsey say it yesterday, if they're gonna get top 6, they're happy and they're just gonna enjoy the Dota, and that is exactly what we are gonna do as well. And to enjoy the Dota, we need teams on that stage, so let's head over to Tsunami and Fancy.
Welcome everyone, it is now the second to last day here at Riyadh Masters, and what a journey it's been to get to this point.
الرحلة إلى الآن مستمرة، واليوم ما قبل الأخير في رياض ماسترز 2023 راح نشهد اثنين من الفرق اليوم راح تنتهي مسيرتهم، ما راح يبقى معنا إلا الأقل فقط.
We started out with 20 teams here, Fancy. We went through play-ins, we went through groups, we've been through playoffs, and we're nearly near the end of this journey.
20 فريق بدأوا معنا في هذه البطولة من الأفضل في العالم من مرحلة البلاي-إنز إلى البلاي-أوفز، لكن الآن ما تبقى معنا إلا 5 فرق فقط، واثنين منهم زي ما قلنا راح نودعهم الليلة.
And things don't get easier for any teams that are remaining. In fact, the killers are still waiting in lower bracket. The favorites of Game and Gladiators, they're just slaughtering everyone on the way.
Whoever wins this match will face Gaming Gladiators, and that will be the story for today.
What a privilege.
I know, right? راح نشوف ان شاء الله من اللي ممكن يقدم افضل مباراه معنا، لان المباراه هذه الفائز منهم على طول على جيمنج جلاديترز، والفائز منهم على طول على نهائي اللور براكت. فواحد منهم راح يستمر معنا، واحد منهم راح تنتهي مسيرته، مع انه اخر مره تواجهوا تالون مع فريق ثاني زي ما انتم عارفين وش اللي صار بالضبط.
We've still got to eliminate a few teams to get to that point, which is what these next two teams are looking forward to. It's going to be 9Pandas versus Talon.
This is the first time we see Talon in this tournament in lower bracket after they lost the game against Team Liquid. We all know the story, so let's see what they're going to do for this match. 9Pandas بالمقابل زي ما احنا عارفين أعزائنا المشاهدين دائما هم عندهم الفرصة انهم يلعبون بطريقة يقولون احنا جايين نمتع الفيورز، احنا جايين اننا نعطيكم شيء ما قد شفتوه قبل.
Getting kind of stressful at this point, but emotions are running high, and truth be told, we saw these players backstage, they're still in high spirits. Even though tensions are through the roof, they're here to put on a show.
بالضبط زي ما احنا عارفين فريق تالون ايضا يسترداي كانوا ماخذين بريك كامل، والبريك هذا اعطاهم فرصه انهم يقدرون يحاولون يرجعون المنتاليتي حقتهم بعد الهزيمه قدام تيم ليكويد، فالان بيكون عندهم فرصه انهم يورونا وش اللي سووه في اليوم البريك حقهم.
And if you want to see this show, let's get the first cast members out. Talon! The last Southeast Asian team remaining in this tournament. Sure, they're in lower bracket, but this was the same journey for them in Lima, losing to Liquid early on in the tournament, only to face off against them once more. If they want that to happen, they've got to get through a few other teams first.
الفريق الأخير المتواجد من جنوب شرق آسيا تالون بعد هزيمتهم قدام تيم ليكويد الآن في اللور براكت، وقدامهم مباراة قدام 9 بانداز اللي لازم احنا نعرف من اللي بيفوز فيها عشان نشوف مين اللي بيواجه جيم جلاديترز. لكن خصمهم هم الخصم اللي دائما هم يقولون احنا جايين نمتع الفيورز، احنا جايين نخليكم تستمتعون بالاشياء الغريبه اللي نسويها، خلونا نرحب فيهم. Nine Pandas! كل فريق يقول حنا لازم نجهز الفريق الخصم قبل المباراة، لكن 9 بانداز هم الفريق الوحيد اللي ما حدا عارف يجهز ضده، فقط لأنه أي شيء يسوونه في المباريات بيكون غير متوقع أبداً، لا من ناحية التشيزي كومبوزيشنز، لا من ناحية الهيروز اللي ممكن ياخذونها في الدرافت اللي ما حدا يقدر يتوقعها، ودائما تكون شيء مفاجئ للخصم.
One of two Eastern European teams remaining in this tournament, but it's hard to pick a favorite. And Kiyotaka, you said that you're here as an entertainer. You ready to entertain? He looks ready.
He looks ready to entertain.
Talon, come on, guys. Come on, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? 23. Are you ready for this? Yeah. Oh, come on, man. I agree. You seem ready. Let's have it on the gameplay then. Gentlemen, to your computers. Let's get the Dota underway.
خلونا نشوف ايش اللي ممكن يسوونه في كل الفريقين. زي ما احنا عارفين تالون ضد 9 بانداز، فاز منهم يتوجه ضد جيم جلاديترز يكمل مسيرته في اللور براكت، على طول على الاستوديو.
Everybody's in the zone here because it is game time. You gotta save all that energy for the actual gameplay that should be coming out very, very soon. So we're moments away from the draft getting started here between 9Pandas and Talon. So it is time to get into the nitty-gritty of things. And I just want to know what my panel thinks is most important when we look at this game, Mephi.
For me, I think it's Talon's ability to reset after their loss versus Liquid. So I'm actually curious, Seb, what you think of 23 Savage's mental state right now. Like, do you think he's severely affected by what happened, or are we going to see him perform the way he usually does?
My guess is that he's going to be totally fine. I'm sure he has great teammates, great staff around him, and probably yesterday he must have felt pretty down, and I'm sure they brought him comfort and reassurance and just like kindness, you know, and love from the team. And today he's going to be totally fine. I mean, he must know that yesterday should have been a win. They must all know that. They should now be sitting in the upper bracket finals, just waiting. Of course, they find themselves in the lower bracket, but that does not change anything to who they are and their identity as a team throughout this tournament. They are a top 3 team now fighting versus the lower bracket team, so they come in as favorites. And what they did yesterday against Liquid, there's no reason for them not being able to replicate it today. So he's gonna be totally fine, and we're gonna get prime 23 Savage.
Yeah, what I'm most looking forward to is that versus Liquid, they gave Liquid IOLesh their signature 6-0 strat. Like, are they just going to give 9Pandas this Doom Enigma, like, comfort zone heroes and just have a plan? You know thy enemy. They had a very carefully concocted plan. Not only did they allow Liquid to have IOLesh, but they lost to it the first game and then said, don't worry, we know what we did wrong. We'll do it again. And then they took game 2 off of them. So that drafting confidence to know like what you do strongly will be good enough to beat their best strategies is like a core part of this team, and also talks about like the heroes they play, like this 23 Savage Morphling.
Yeah, very big contested hero is going to be Storm and ET. I think the top 2 that are going to be contested by these 2 teams. These are 2 teams that really like played these heroes a lot, first faced them, and they both are going to try to snatch them from each other. So 9Pandas is a team that prioritizes Dire over Radiant, so most likely their choice must have been Dire, which leaves Talon with the second pick, which is the most common option for teams usually, because second pick is known as the counter picking draft scenario, where you get to show less in the second phase and you get to start picking the 18, what we called, which is the 4th pick of the picking phase, and the 24, which is the 5th pick of the picking phase. These are counter picks per se. You see the core matchups, then you can decide, set yourself up for a better lane and for better, you know, game timings in general. So it's going to be interesting. But what I would be looking at in this matchup is the laning phase is going to be extremely important, because these are 2 of the most, in my opinion, explosive teams, in the most aggressive teams in the tournament right now. Their mid game is extremely strong from both sides. 9Pandas like to run at you, they like to take, you know, map advantage. So does Talon. I mean, we've seen it yesterday in the series when they played the Darcer lineup. And what sets you up for a good mid game is the laning phase. So it's going to be extremely important for teams to value that. And you can already see like the bans from Talon. I'm really happy that they banned the Undying, because solo Undying, it's unplayable. It's literally unplayable. I've been there. I can testify. You cannot win a lane versus this guy on Undying, so great choice.
Yeah, the thing about 9Pandas that's really impressed me recently is just their utmost confidence in the heroes that they play. Like, they confidently will 5 this Enigma and have no concerns about Rubik or Silencer, where other teams may opt to not play their Enigma into Rubiks. 9Pandas do not feel the same way. They're also not deterred by greedy lineups. They are willing to run Enigma with a support Doom with a mid Tinker. They do the wildest things, so I'm curious if they're going to default to their Doom here on 8, or if they're going to try to counter.
Lycan's also a worthy consideration. Doom and Lycan are pretty much like the 2 heroes that are on Talon's radar for 9Pandas to pick on 8, so like they want to make sure they have those 2 bases covered. Both like represent, like the Doom's more of a support for 9Pandas. Yes, it sometimes does get played core, but just yesterday we saw the Doom 4 Enigma 3, and we like, you mentioned they picked Enigma into Rubik. I remember late game in one of the team fights, Miro had Octarine blink BKB and he just never casted Black Hole intentionally. Like, they just didn't need it, and he knew that like the risk of letting Rubik steal it and turn the fight was greater than the benefit of using it. So the threat of the Black Hole, as Zai mentioned in his post-game interview against Talon, can sometimes be more important than the actual Black Hole.
I mean, to pro players, Rubik doesn't necessarily counter Enigma. It's like, it's it's the first step, of course. Just think of the black hole, but Enigma brings a lot of laning issues that you need to address that Rubik doesn't, for instance. Other supports do it much better. Enigma plays on auras, he plays on stuns and the shards. There's much more than just the black hole interaction, and if black hole is your main teamfight tool, then of course Rubik is good against Enigma. But if it isn't, then you really don't care.
What?
You know, I mean, Talon, they have to prepare for the 8th pick that can be coming from 9Pandas. That is the hard part about double picking in second pick. And one thing to mention, to be honest, is the Batrider that got given to Talon. It's been banned in almost every single one of their games. The last time they got it was against TSM and they won that game, and ever since it's been banned first phase every time against them. So now 9Pandas, it's a big statement from them. It's like, we'll play versus the Bat. It's most likely gonna be a Q Bat. I mean, I think it's been played +4 almost every time. And they go for the Enigma Doom. So this Enigma is open also to solo. He's played it in the group stage, or maybe it was play-ins, I can't remember, but very early in the tournament. He's practiced it a lot. Haven't used it yet. So this keeps it open. I think it's important to mention. It can be an Enigma position 4, it can be an Enigma position 5, or an Enigma position 3.
Yeah, I think the Talon Windranger is probably the safest option that they can go. We see that Windranger has very few bad matchups in the mid lane, and that's most likely where they're going to run her. And she's kind of going to be their damage during lasso. Like, the idea when you start with that, you'd have to secure that whoever gets lassoed in the mid game dies. So through the focus fire and of course the Gleipnir, they're going to be able to hopefully target this Enigma and remove that threat entirely. What I would like to see coming out of Talon is some kind of vision hero, just so that they can find these openings on these big teamfight heroes on 9Pandas.
I mean, this is completely new though for Talon. They have not first faced this Windranger, I think, ever. At least not in the last 10+ games. So this is like an angle that they're taking against 9Pandas specifically. It might be an idea with the hero pool of Kiyotaka versus Windranger. I can't help to think about his Ember. I think that's one of the best heroes against Windranger from the mid matchup, like in the lane, and then, you know, as it develops in the game. It could also explain the Silencer pick from 9Pandas. Like, that's a hero that really annoys Ember. Like, it shuts down completely his early aggression potential. They're setting up for it 100% on 9Pandas, so let's see if Talon decide to put some respect on it or just tank the matchup.
The silencer, you mean?
The Ember Spirit.
Yeah, he's saying they banned the silencer.
They're setting up the Ember pick in the second phase. Because, I mean, you see the Windranger, probably ideal is to pick your mid laner for 9Pandas in the second phase and then wait a little bit longer for Ramses. Also allows to keep the Doom flex. That's the strength of their opening. This is a deadly lane, like Doom Enigma, it's really hard to face. And at the same time, none of these heroes could be on your lane. Ramses plays Doom, Solo plays Enigma. Everything is open for Talon, so they're kind of moving in the dark right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they took about a minute to come up with the Windranger pick, right? They took a long time.
It was a hard pick, but definitely a good one. And now when you see the Naga ban, this is like one extra hint that Enigma could be position 3. You know, Naga, maybe the best carry in the game versus Enigma on the lane. So that is a way to protect or to buff a little bit that option for 9Pandas.
And 9Pandas are just happy to play this Doom as a support. They're one of the few teams that have actually played it more as support than they have as core.
Their win rate on it's the best out of all 3 positions, too. It's 70% in 10 games.
Very important lane. I mean, the strength of this Doom support is he relies on getting a good creep. The mana burn creep, the Ogre, the Frost armor from the Ogre. These creeps are really gonna buff the laning phase of Enigma. And it's really hard to stop now because there are so many camps with the new map. The Doom support really got a big buff.
And Talon actually let that Ember that you were talking about sub through. Do you think this indicates confidence on their end, or do they think there's some kind of preparation coming out of Talon here?
I can only assume there must be some preparation. And maybe 9Pandas is even looking at something else. Just sounds like a good option. Early game tempo, good matchup versus Windranger. And now the Windranger is shown to be mid. I don't think they can flex it. I mean, I know 23 Savage also plays it, but into Doom Enigma, there is no way he's going to be looking at it. So that's a Windranger mid. And then the supports are going to open and decide their lanes. It's a very good Rubik pick also. Honestly, it denies a lot of the team fight. Now Enigma has to be really careful with how he presses his spells. So is Doom. Rubik versus Doom is also very good. You got the save later in the game with the telekinesis back. And obviously, it's also very simple for Rubik to just steal Doom.
When you're drafting, Seb, like, how often does it happen if you're a team like 9Pandas that flexes, or any position your role. Like, how do you know what to pick here? Because you're revealing something.
Now you have to commit, right? You have to start kind of killing the flex, as we call it. You have to commit to something. And you kept Talon in the dark enough. You have something to play for, which is you see this Wind Ranger, and you also have protected your second phase, theoretically, with the bans. This is what it allowed you. So if you wanted to play 3 Enigma, you're not going to run into a Naga. If you wanted to, you know, take Ember, he's not going to play versus a Silencer.
Yeah, I think Talon actually caught 9Pandas a little bit off guard by letting the Ember through, because what 9Pandas had prepared for Talon probably didn't include the Ember. They didn't think the Ember would make it through the second phase, so it took them a while, but they settle on the Oracle plus Bloodseeker in the end. I think this is something that's always fair. If Darkseer is still in the pool, having some kind of Dispel support...
Yeah, Darkseer is like unpickable now, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's totally unpickable. When you see Oracle Bloodseeker, that's probably 2 of the worst heroes you could be facing as a Darkseer, so they're definitely gonna go. That is an incredibly worrying Medusa pick, if you ask me.
Like, it's good for Talon, right?
Yeah, it's very good. I mean, Medusa is amazing. It's the best carry matchup, I would say, against Bloodseeker. One of the best versus Enigma, and one of the best versus Doom. So, very worried. This is a perfect Medusa game so far. Honestly, it doesn't get better than this. And Kiyotaka needs... He cannot pick Ember. It's impossible. Like, you need to be countering Medusa now. He needs to play Invoker or Tinker. I feel like out of his pool, these are the only 2 heroes I can think of. And Wind Ranger is already taken. From the mid laners, I think these are the only heroes that are going to bring enough damage to really deal with the Medusa, because right now they have a big damage issue on Medusa. They need to get the Doom, they need to get the Black Hole, but against Rubik Medusa, it's just not happening if Talon is in position.
I've got some good news for you, Seb. So at the Bali Major, I checked Bloodseeker's like disadvantage against Medusa in the 1v1, and it was 9%. After the Medusa nerf, it's only 7.5%.
Wow.
Only 7.
It's only still his worst matchup in the entire game.
Yeah.
Tinker's already out, and Invoker's going to be out next. And I don't know what Kiyotaka has in his inventory to deal with Medusa, because Wind Ranger is also gone.
Oftentimes we see a Pango picked against Medusa for the
It wouldn't be
defusal.
bad. It wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, this Medusa is scary for all the reasons that Seb mentioned, but also because on 9Pandas, their supports are not the type of supports to go run at the Medusa and stop her game in the early game. If you're looking at a 5 Oracle, it's not the best hero to go through the gates, and it doesn't necessarily have any heroes to follow. Like, the Enigma is a farming type of offlaner. He's not the type to aggressively invade until he takes a tower and wins his lane, and the Doom doesn't really have a stun up until he gets to that point where he has Blink Centaur. So if you're looking at the threat that Oracle and Doom pose to a Medusa, it's virtually non-existent, and it needs to be corrected through the mid lane right now for 9Pandas.
Yeah. And they do ban the Pango, so Invoker is the last hero from Kiyotaka's pool. I mean, maybe there's something I'm forgetting, but definitely his hero needs to be something that, helps. Okay, well, there it is. So they decide, they kind of had to pick their poison, is to play versus Invoker, to play versus Pango or Tinker, and it's going to be Invoker. I do think it helps. It can solve a little bit of the issues that they have, and as they scale into the game, it doesn't look as scary now. As for Talon, you know, they see the lane, Oracle, Bloodseeker. Even if you see it, it's a really hard lane to punish. Very important lane, especially on level 3. When they both have level 3, they have like 1.2k damage on anyone, so hard to just stand there. It's gonna come down to the laning phase and how well 9Pandas can execute. Because if Talon gets out of the lane with, you know, an advantage, the game might be a bit difficult for 9Pandas to play.
Would you ever consider like a coddle where you flex the Bat Rider to off lane? They've done that, and then you have like the mana restoration for the Medusa, or is this like how often are you willing to last pick a support? You know,
the Bat 3 is not that bad in this game. Honestly, it's pretty good against Bloodseeker, but maybe into Oracle, you don't want to go there as Bat 3 because you might not just be able to pressure at all. So I think they should just aim to punish the lane as hard as they can because they already have a win condition in the Medusa right now. So it's mostly about the stable early game.
Yeah, I just think some team fighting offlaners all Talon needs right now, like some Mars or some Brewmaster, because they have this really strong
Brewmaster
win
would be amazing
condition.
actually, but they go for the Legion. It's one of the best laners on the position 3. Very strong laner, very stable laner. So, you know, it's also an extra save for the Medusa, like always helpful to get her off the stun so she can get her ulti off and deal with the Doom, deal with the Black Hole if it's being casted. So I like that option. Brings a lot of early game presence and it's gonna free the support to go fight with the Wind Ranger against the Invoker because 9Pandas carry, it's Invoker. And this is the hero they want to shut down as much as they can because only this hero will have a chance to deal with the Medusa in the mid game.
I like that Talon have 2 BKB piercing disables as well in the duel and in the lasso, which makes the key target an Enigma later on for these fights simple to deal with. Also, I just think the Medusa win condition is far too strong here. 9Pandas are going to have to play the best game of their life if they're going to make it out of these lanes and not get run over by this mid-game pressure. I feel like this LC gave them a little bit of space, actually, because while it's strong on lane, it doesn't really give them that aura buying team fighting. So they could actually just end up farming versus farming at some point, and then 9Pandas do have a chance.
Yeah, we saw 9Pandas with a similar draft against Medusa yesterday, and the difference was they had a Lycan off lane instead of the Enigma, and you had mentioned that Enigma was much more of a passive, like, get his own farm, and Medusa wants that. I think this is a similar recipe that 9Pandas have, and it worked yesterday, but it's not going to work today. I think the Medusa is just too reliable there.
All right, so if 9Pandas is going to win this game, Seb, which player needs to pop off?
Kiyotaka.
I think that's the way he wants it.
And we all know he will. So I'm not worried for them. It's a rough one, but for Kiyotaka, it's just another day in the office.
It's another Tuesday.
I really do like Talon's draft. My only issue with Talon right now is, like, have they recovered after their last series? If they have, I believe in them to take this one.
I think Medusa is also a nice way to ease back in to
chill and split shot your
You could
way
probably
through the game.
actually take your hands off the keyboard and play that hero properly, so it's fine.
That's what it is. That's what, just click R before, just press the stone gaze and...
RA, good to go.
All right. We found our strat.
We did. I hope that Talon did as well with this one. We are hoping to still get a couple of words out of the coach of Talon. But we are very soon ready to get this series going. Of course, it's only game one of the best of three, and a lot of things can happen. But we're going to find out what's going to happen as we hear first from Sunby before the match.
Hey, Sun. You know, there's something I got to ask, which is you guys had the day off. You had a very tough series. Very, very tough. What has your job been as a coach? What's your life been like for the last day, getting your team back into the swing of things?
Just trying to make sure that the boys are, ready to play, that they're not like thinking about dumb things. We went back and we just reviewed. It's like, it's not his fault. It's not just like 3 didn't lose us a game. We all messed up in the last 30 seconds. So yeah. So yeah, just getting them mentally prepped up. Tournament's not over. Yeah.
Yep, okay. So in terms of this draft, you guys got the Medusa versus Bloodseeker. That's one of the worst matchups on Dota Buff for the Bloodseeker. Do you feel like you guys just need to go late game in this game and then you win?
I mean, if we go late, I think we feel pretty confident. However, we'll have to see how the lane goes, because Bloodseeker lane is strong. They have Sunstrike, so hopefully, things will be good.
And this Legion Commander, speaking of win rates, this is something like 56% win rate hero. A lot of other teams are picking it, banning it early. You guys got it last. Do you think this is a low-key broken hero?
I think its success largely comes from the group stages, from some teams doing really well with it, like EG. I'm not sure if we're like the best at it, and it really depends on how the laning phase goes against Bloodseeker.
Okay, and I think the game is paused, so I'm going to ask one more question. Blitz said that he could bench press more than you. Do you think that that's correct?
No.
Would you like to challenge Blitz to a bench press off?
Yeah, probably could.
Okay, formal challenge accepted by Sunby versus Blitz, and we will see 9Pandas versus Talon with Cap and Avery.
Thank you, Jenkins, for the always inspiring and informational interviews that he does with these coaches. I always feel like I learn a lot, right, Avery?
Oh, I learned a lot there. Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think we're really well prepared for coming up and seeing this series, which is going to be slightly delayed here. We're going to have a remake because why, Avery?
There's a sentry bug, right?
No. Oh. Well, as far as I could tell, they didn't have their cosmetics.
Oh, was that what it was? I thought they were talking about the sentries bugged out again. It was because they didn't have his hero set.
Yes, they did not have their hero sets.
No, that can't be.
People wanted their Arcanas and stuff.
Well, I mean, that's reasonable too, but I think there was something else going on there.
I mean, it goes to show the focus that these teams want to be able to get. They need to be able to have the utmost focus. Everything has to be in place, including their Arcanas.
Well, if we've learned anything over the last decade of Dota 2, it is that what do players care about? Caps.
Hats.
Not you,
Lots
but
of
they're
hats.
hats, yes.
Thank you. Yes.
The Immortals are everything here, so, I mean, what is the point of playing a game if you can't show off your real-life net worth through the hero? That's what Dota's all about. I really like
That's
that
true.
Sunby.
Yeah, it's all about flexing on them.
Exactly. I really like that Sunby interview. I learned something about Sunby, and I think a reflection of Talon there, because he thinks he can outbench Blitz. That might be the most insane thing I've heard in a long time.
So you're saying you learned that Talon is delusional?
No. just the confidence is off the charts right
Hell
now. You know?
yeah.
Somebody's just there like, of course, he's so casual. Of course I could.
Yeah, he's like,
of course,
not a problem.
Blitz is yoked. Like, he is absolutely.
I think Sunbee's pretty strong too, but
he is. He is.
But,
actually, it might be pretty close now that I think about it. I mean, I'd be interested to see that.
Yeah, I would.
But the point is, regardless of the outcome, not that it isn't possible, but I mean, Blitz would not say it's possible, but that is some confidence, right? And it shows you're coming into this match. No cares, no pressure, no fear. I'll do anything. I'll beat the other team. I'll outdraft the other team. I'll outbench the other team. Whatever it takes, we're gonna get the dub here.
And that kind of confidence is super important after what was a pretty heartbreaking loss in the upper bracket, right?
That was a very, very tough one. I mean, when you're mentioning, you know, the KY, XY, Aegis deny as the only other comparison, you know you're in a tough spot because there's not a lot of instances in Dota history where something that heartbreaking has happened. And it is a big question. Can you bounce back from it if you're talented? They've shown resilience this year. I think that's one of the aspects about this team that I've enjoyed seeing a lot is that we're used to see teams being a flash in the pan. You do really well at one LAN, you show up somewhere, you get like a top 4, top 5, and then you fizzle out.
Yeah.
This is a team that did not fizzle out, right? Now
we thought they might have with them not, you know, failing to qualify for Bali. It was like, uh-oh.
Right, that's where I have my doubt. Oh, no, this is another C team that started well, started out hot, and then is going to peter out by the end of TI. But hey, they are bouncing back here. A top 6 is no joke under this kind of pressure, and they've performed well. And sure, they've had their lows throughout the year, but I think sometimes that helps a team too. If you stick together, you get through it, you get a little humbleness, you come out stronger the other side. So hey, yesterday, just another hurdle in the long road to TI here.
That's
both
true.
These teams have been through a lot this year, and 9Pandas as well. They've been through a lot, though I view it in a different way that I feel like it's been self-inflicted pain to some degree. I think it's just they view it as so many series have been thrown or lost or
how many Roshan fights they've thrown is unbelievable. It has to be the team that has lost the most Roshan fights in advantage scenarios.
I mean, it's an Achilles heel, it's a solo heel, whatever you want to call it at this point. Something has gone wrong for this team around the pit, and also just the amount of leads they've had to a significant degree. Like, these aren't like, okay, you're up 15K and the game goes wrong. There's like 30K gold leads.
Yeah.
And usually your win percentage at that point is extremely high. Now, some of that I think is due to the heroes they play and how they play, right? They play very aggressive. Kiyotaka always going in. It's a double-edged sword. Reminds me of Doraccio sometimes. Or you look at the heroes Ramses plays. I think a lot of games of this tournament have been Alchemist. Alchemist is a hero that automatically is going to inflate your team net worth, inflate your GPM numbers, put you in a position where the game maybe looks a lot more one side than it actually is, because once the Alch falls off, he falls off really hard in some of these matchups, right? You go ultra late, sometimes that hero can be hit or miss. So I think sometimes it looks better than it actually is. For like, the games are closer than maybe they appear in reality, and maybe it's not really throwing, it's just they can't execute 100% to get the closeout win. However, I think if they are operating 100%, this team is definitely a top 3 team, potential-wise. And it makes them very scary along with the cheese picks, and those numbers reflect it. The interesting thing about Ramses at this tournament is he has the highest GPM of any player, which I think would be expected considering he's playing the most Alchemist. He also has the highest experience per minute of any player, which I find interesting because Greevil's Greed does not give you experience.
Yeah,
and so,
it means you have to be involved in kills, right, to get high experience?
Generally, yes, or you're just incredibly prioritized within your team.
Ancient stacks and stuff like that, particularly ancient stacks.
So with a team with a player like Kiyotaka who's soaking up all the attention and getting a lot of the ban priority, a lot of the pick priority, a lot of the farm priority potentially, and is just going in and slaying everybody, for Ramses to be ahead in those metrics is telling you that this team is not just a one-trick pony. There's a 2-finger punch here that is very difficult for a lot of teams to deal with between Ramses and Kiyotaka, and they are balancing each other well. And that is what makes this team fearsome, in my opinion, considering their supporting cast has also shown up big time this tournament between the supports and Miro. Miro on this Enigma has got to be a threat you have to think about when you're drafting against this team, and they just first pick it, right? That tells you everything you need to know about their confidence in his ability to pull out the late game fights with the black holes. I have confidence in it as well, and this should be a great matchup as both these teams have thrown games, both these teams have gone ultra late, and both of them are very comfortable playing a methodical pace, ramping it up into the mid and late game. I do not expect either team to get run over here, which means we should get some good late game brawling.
Now, we did have a little bit of server issues, but we are ready to go, it seems. Huh? See? We got some Arcanas. We got some cosmetics. Everyone is happy now with the way their heroes look. Yeah, well, maybe Ramses is just that kind of guy. He doesn't need the cosmetics. I've been in particular impressed with Solo because I think his play has been amazing, but I also think that...
It actually was for the hats.
Yes, I told you.
Oh. Well.
Jabs all chatted my Arcana frowny face at the start of the last game. So it was not a joke.
I feel like some players are still missing some. I will say it actually is a little annoying.
Yeah.
I've been in those games where it bugs out and it just feels a little off.
Yeah.
So yeah, as long as both teams are willing, we'll make sure all the hats are in the game.
I think going back to Solo, by the way, I think we saw an interesting interaction. I'm not sure if you noticed it in the player room. Him and Kiyotaka were playing a little bit of table hockey, a little bit of table tennis. They were going back and forth, and I thought it was, you know, in the interviews, Solo, he says, you know, I feel like kind of like the dad of the team, and I think that in that interaction I saw that, which was that, you know, he was playing with Kiyotaka, and they were you know, having a fun little back and forth. They wrestled a little bit. It seemed like a very nice.
They wrestled.
Yes. Did you not hear Kiyotaka say,
"Help"? What kind of air hockey game were you watching over there, man?
Did you not hear Kiyotaka go help?
No.
And then you didn't look over? Yeah, Solo had him by.
Wait, was that who was crying in the corner?
Yeah.
Oh.
He had Kiyotaka pinned, and it was a fun wrestling match. Anyway, the whole point is that I think Solo brings an atmosphere to this team that is light and fun and crucial when you do throw those sort of games that we were talking about, right? Like, you can get a negative atmosphere can be a cancer to a team and rot it from the inside out. And I think
that is true.
Being able to prevent that and remind everybody that, hey, we're all trying, we're all putting in our best efforts here, we're all friends here, I think that's important.
As long as it doesn't get a little too kumbaya, yeah. I think you're very happy in the circumstances. I mean, Solo having 322 as his jersey number tells you everything you need to know about his current state of mind.
Yeah.
And it's valuable. I think I mean, excuse my French here, but certain players in Dota, they get over a threshold. I call it the 0 fucks threshold. You know, at a certain point, they just don't care about the wins and losses. They just play to play.
Yeah.
They show up at a tournament to get paid to win whatever it is. I think Solo is definitely there at this point. And he's making a resurgence here. Looks damn good on the 5.
Now, his number is 322 because he's 32 right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. 32 too.
Yeah.
So
I'm also 32 too.
Well, I hope you get a jersey signed by Solo then. I'm sure you can wear it at events.
Nice.
The real question in this game, however, as the panel discussed, can you deal with the Medusa, and how much is your Invoker going to be able to do that for you? Because it's going to likely be the Exort Invoker. In fact, it is the Exort Invoker. So you're not going to have like some early EMP in the fight, though I don't even know how good that is. I think the Invoker, the main interactions here you're looking for in that late game are just like the single target burst, the cold snap, the disarm from Deafening Blast is a big way to deal with the Medusa. The Tornado and EMP later, of course, also pretty okay in the fight for some utility. Ice Wall, you can kite her out. Invoker pretty much does amazing versus here on the late game in terms of kiting her out, dealing the damage, and pumping it back into her with long duration disarm. It's just a question of can you get there before the Medusa hits her timings in the mid game and just runs you over with the early Roshans. Because I think the Roshan contest is the difficult part for 9Pandas in this game. Can you stop this Medusa getting to a second item, Butterfly or Scotty, taking first Rosh, and then getting a third or fourth item, second Rosh, and going high ground here with a guaranteed Batrider initiation almost. You have an Oracle save to counteract that. That's the nice part here for 9Pandas, as both Water Rooms will be denied from Kiyotaka trying to pull ahead in this lane that is so far been all Makoto.
Yeah, did you see that initial one? He cold snapped him, and that allowed his hit to get to the water rune before Makoto.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do in this lane, right? Makoto has pulled ahead very early here, doubling up the CS, in fact, by 230. This is a nice little start for the Wind Ranger. You are almost always going to pill ahead of Exort Invoker in the first 3 to 4 minutes. I mean, I go back to that game where we saw Sumail versus Miracle at Dream League. Arguably the best Invoker player, perhaps of all time. I'll let chat decide that. And Miracle was very far behind in CS in that lane as well. It's just very hard to win the early wave.
Man, look how aggressive Makoto's being, man. He is forsaking CS. I watched him let a range creep go in exchange for getting like 2 more hits on Kiyotaka. He is really trying to push him into that kill range and punish the lack of regen that Exort Invoker always has.
I mean, you can kill his water runes, but you can't kill his regen here as Kiyotaka's feeling the pain. Also went for that early blood grenade. And we've been seeing more of these on the mid heroes throughout the tournament. I saw Sumail buy it on the Queen of Pain in one of those Queen of Pain Ember matchups. It's pretty interesting, because in theory this is an expensive item to buy on the mid, especially if you never get the use out of it. And it's no stats, it's no damage, it's just HP. So you're losing some CS capability. As you
Ooh,
have to pop
Fairy
the Fairy
Fire. He does
for
have some magic
turnaround.
wand charges as well.
I mean, you did get through all of Makoto's mana.
Yep.
That's the one upside for Kiyotaka. If you can regen back up, you're not in the worst position as he's slowly evening out this lane a bit.
It means he really needs to deny both water runes again. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that on this low of health.
No, maybe not. Still quiet early game as everybody's farming up. 23 getting beat up bottom.
Oh, he's going to go for it. Oh, he hits it with the blood grenade with the cold snap, and the spirit gets there. Denies the water rune. Makoto is going to remain without mana. Meanwhile, bottom lane, that is where our first blood is going to occur. As much as Makoto tried to put the screws onto this Invoker, it's the bottom lane that succeeds for Talon.
Those water rune denies are huge mid, but Talon strike back and get that first blood. I was about to say, this lane looked like it was going decent for Miro and Antares because you got ice armor up early here on the Doom. And that is a big deal in these lane matchups. It's one of those things that almost guarantees you a lane win over time, especially with the levels they've been able to find. Like the fact that the Doom and the Enigma are both level 3 here. This lane is honestly going pretty well for them outside of that first blood kill. They're just going to rotate solo in. The gate on the Oracle will prompt the Batrider TP, but it might end up sacrificing Miro as Ice Armor is not going to help you versus the Firefly, already level 2 for Q.
Now, we actually had pretty interesting discussions going on about the draft, and I think what was cool is that there was a bit of something new, or maybe it's something a little bit old. We got the Batrider given away for the first time for Talon in quite some time. Oh, Jabs is going to be caught in the Sunstrike, and that is going to be enough. Ramses is able to collect the last hit even better, so he can get back up to full HP that much quicker.
I think Kiyotaka would have liked to have gotten that last hit, but he'll take an assist here. A little extra gold going into his pocket. Of course, a lot about this extra Invoker is how fast you can get to the Midas. If you are going that build, I mean, I think you can just go Tread's Witchblade. I feel like you kind of need a Midas, though, on this hero in most situations.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, level 6 is definitely going to go to Makoto here. Can he use it, though? He still does not have a lot of resources on this lane. Kiyotaka has just denied so many runes. And the roam potential does exist. Normally that's something else you can use to punish this Invoker, just roam on him.
23 is going to be a bit low here. The aggression coming out from Antares and Miro. So yeah, they did lose their lives, but they are punishing Talon as they come back with full health and full mana. These resources are being utilized now to push Talon out of the creep range.
And your tower's taking a lot of damage. This is a catapult hitting your tier 1 while all this is happening. The haste focus fire rotation from Makoto. This is where if you're Miro, you go, well, I tanked it for you, Kiyotaka. You're welcome.
What can you do?
That's what boys do.
Oh, is he going to die to the... Yep, he dies to the burn. Antares will be able to chase him down, but it is a double kill for Makoto. So his rotation, good call by Talon. Like, hey, we're being pressured heavily here. 23 Savage needs all the CS that's underneath the tower. We need a little bit to relieve this pressure. Makoto does it beautifully. Jabs quickly relieves himself of that hold from Solo. The Fortune Send cleansed off, and he's able to get away from the Sunstrike.
Yeah, Kiyotaka knows Ramsey's on his team right though. He's not... That looked a little too purposeful. That might be from yesterday. You give him the stare down, he's gonna give you the
stare right back, you know? You're not going to intimidate me.
Another off the mark here for Kiyotaka. It's been a quiet game for him, though he did get a lot of recovery time off that Makoto rotation. Like, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, it was great for Makoto. Not the worst for 9Pandas, as they got a lot of tower damage and space for the Exor Invoker, who's not getting pressured, which is something you're always happy with in these early games. And it will be fighting items for the Exort Carl here, as he's just going to go drum, I presume, into Witchblade. Be able to provide some early game.
Body blocking a little bit. TP rotation coming in from Solo. That'll protect him. Makoto, no way he can get that kill. Sunstrike is going to do a lot of damage here. Not enough to get the kill, but it is going to force Makoto back and away potentially from the 8-minute power rune that's going to be spawning in just 15 seconds.
Honestly, this mid lane has been a little frustrating for Makoto, given how well he started it out. Not being able to pressure this Invoker just feels a little bad off a support rotation as well. 9Pandas is doing a good job protecting him. Of course, all the time these trades happen, it powers up Ramses on that safe lane, which has basically been abandoned at this point by Jabs. He's not level 6, however.
Yeah, making this rotation pre-level 6 is pretty crazy.
Can they actually just get the rundown? This seems very
not with
ambitious.
the Frost armor, I don't think.
Yeah, not into that. Maybe not accounting for it.
What was this?
Stem the tide. He just can't stand top.
I mean, did he think he was going to get 6 with Creep Wave dying or something?
Maybe. It's pretty close, honestly. If they get one of these kills, he'll get it.
And Antares is going to die, so now getting the duel.
And look at this.
Oh, yeah, Miro's done for, man. He is surrounded by too many heroes. I don't think he can... Oh! He just walks straight back through the lane. And it just so happens the Rubik had went up and Q backed away from the Eidolons. Ollie is still able to find him with this Invis rune.
He does not have enough damage.
Yeah, not by himself.
Armor, Helm of Iron Will, a lot of armor on this Enigma.
I can't believe Miro got out of a situation where he's surrounded by 4 heroes.
And the Ancient stacking is going to be a big deal this game because you want a lot of your 9Pandas to counteract what is being built up on the Radiant Triangle. As it stacks, waiting for 23 to clear through it. Ramses did peek, scouted out a bit.
Oh, Jab, he's going to go for the duel now, and they will get it. Finally, Ollie is able to pounce. Took a full minute to be able to get that one. Meanwhile, Focus Fire in the bottom lane. Solo getting the disarm off, but it can only last so long. And the power shot is lethal. Sunstrike is going to be able to land. Makoto might die here. The Fairy Fire is not going to be enough to save him. With Ramses hot on his tail, he was probably done for either way.
9Pandas continuing to find some little openings in this game, and Kiyotaka is fully online after this laning phase. Started out rough, but has come back in full force here as he finds a big connection on Makoto. He's just ahead of him at this point. This is going to be a tough hero to battle through. Exor Invoker, it's sometimes going to be very difficult to run into, especially when you have Saves behind him, which 9Pandas do in the Oracle. And you have this Frost Armor just going on everybody.
Flame Break is going to be able to bump him back into the lasso. Beautiful setup there from Q. This is why his Bat Rider has been first banned by so many teams. They are very good with the sword. Oh, nice shackle shot that allows Makoto to refill his bottle with the shield rune. Might be able to chase down Antares as well. Again, the Frost Armor is a bit problematic, and he's too damn fast.
Should get the D-Ward as well, so Talon just bringing everybody to mid, including the Medusa. Probably not a rotation Kiyotaka expected, maybe one he's salty about, as he's wondering where the pressure is on the map, that this move is this easy for Talon. They're not even losing anything right now. They'll even get some mid damage with the catapult. 23 making his presence felt in this game. 2-0 and 4 on the Medusa. 6 out of the 8 kills involvement from an early game on your carry Medusa. That has got to feel damn good for the team right now, as it has brought a lot of extra XP to their supports. Both are already level 6 and ready to use these ults, as we saw the lasso mid and this spell steal. It is a damn good spell steal game. You get Rupture, you get Black Hole, Doom, even some of the Invoker spells. This Rubik's gonna be something that 9Pandas have to think about killing first in the fight.
They're gonna find Ramses. Shackle shot doesn't land. Ramses.
He got the gold.
Jukes away into the trees. Very nice. Ramses gonna be hit by some Focus Fire. Duel on the other side. Blown up immediately. Jabs. Big fortunes, and that's gonna be able to finish him off. Oh, Black Hole completely whiffing there from Miro.
And the Doom is on a target they can't latch. These ults, they got thrown on air.
Really didn't do anything at all. Ollie protects himself with the Fate Bolt. Okay, no problem. Man, that was just terrible.
I don't even know where the Sunstrike went. There are a lot of spells got thrown out there from 9Pandas, and it yields absolutely nothing here, except more damage on their tier 1 mid as they get dragged into a fight. It just became very awkward after the duel. They're going to try and put some damage out onto 23.
You do get a lot on him, but Jabs is here. Is that heal enough? Oh, it was barely enough, Jabs. What a save. Solo, meanwhile, he's probably going to be run down. Overwhelming odds, Flame Break, something. Any spell would probably do it. Solo. Oh my god, he barely got off the Fate's Edict, and the Focus Fire doesn't land. Very close call, like 5 HP.
Big wand and Occult Bracelet here, keeping the mana up for 23 as he just walks it off. That is a type of single target damage that can sometimes just surprise you out of this Exor Invoker, especially with the early drum buffing up these double Forge Spirits. Cannot underestimate it here, especially when you run in deep against Kiyotaka. As Talon are going to now try and push into this mid game with an accelerated Medusa. I mean, you're still looking at very farm course for 9Pandas, right? That top fight did not go their way at all, but it's not like Talon are running this game over.
No.
The Bat Rider is in a very good position, though, as Q has been given some stack priority, and that is going to be a Blink Dagger finished here at 13 minutes, and he'll get the stack on top of it.
This does go back to what you were talking about experience-wise. Ramses, meanwhile, is being gifted all the stacks in the triangle. So Talon are spreading around their farm while 9Pandas are just trying to buff up Ramses as much as possible.
As Bloodseeker needs it. He needs to hit items at least on par or slightly ahead of the Medusa to have impact in these fights, because that matchup is pretty much the worst in the game. You have to be able to run in, verse the Stone Gaze, start committing on a target without the Medusa protecting it. Ramses is going to need some acceleration here.
They really want Makoto off of this one. They might be able to get it with the tornado jump in, telekinesis throw back. Makoto's going to be able to dodge the meteor, and he's okay. What a beautiful shackle shot. Lining it up, Fate's Edict will protect Antares from the magic damage here, but the lasso is going to be able to pull him back in. Jabs is still ready to go with the duel somewhere through this one. He's going to chase after Antares with his blade mail. He's going to get that duel off, and he succeeds. 30 damage up to him now. Shackle shot onto Solo, but Talon are content with just putting damage onto this mid tower.
I mean, if they get the tier 1 here, they're going to be really happy. Another fight that 23 joins, gets an assist out of it.
Another situation where they lift it. I'm telling you, they got to start attacking a tower.
I mean, if I'm Ollie on this team, I'm starting to just try and take those tower lasts. Like, I'm not relying on my cores anymore. This is just getting out of control. I think they're happy with the map control. Still, it's a lot of gold down the drain. And they're giving the Ancient stack to Q? Oh, this is a lot of faith in this Batrider to carry the. I mean, this is a big acceleration tool for the Medusa you just took away from him. I'm telling you, there's no way 23 is on the comms right now happy about this one. He's going to show up later and be like, guys, did they steal our Ancients? Oh, yeah, man. Ramses invaded earlier, took them all away. Sorry, dude. You definitely lie about that.
Man, this is the combination of them putting so much on the Batrider and the fact that it was, banned by so many other teams. They, first rounded it. If 9Pandas managed to beat Talon with this Batrider, that could be some shaken confidence in their drafting. Because this is also something drafting-wise that Seb mentioned. They haven't picked up the Wind Ranger in the first 1-2 for much of this tournament, but it was something they did all along during Dream League, which they got a top 4 at and are looking for a top 4 here with a kill on Antares. Another great duel win, 48 damage now for Jabs.
Yeah, he's having a great game. It's not often you get this much dual damage with just the blade mail, but this Batrider with the early blink is setting it up for him, and Forge Spirit Steel, a little bit of extra minus armor to counteract the Frost armor. Nice spell steal here for Ollie, as he will gladly run those around the map and collect some extra farm if he wants to micro it up. Both these supports are going to get big for Talon. This is another reason their Batrider has been scarier than a lot of teams. They make sure you get the early items, which put them in a position where you can suddenly farm out the map and just become a 4th core. And that's really what Talon want here. They want 4 cores to run into 9Pandas, this Batrider to be a stronger initiation so you can help player on the Oracle. Maybe you just start on the Oracle because you have something like a Bots Blink BKB at, 30 minutes here. That's going to be pretty terrifying if that ends up being the case. And another, he's taking so many stacks. I mean, now he has been the guy stacking it. It is just rare that you see this much given to the 4 over a carry Medusa. It'll be another 2,000 gold here, and he will purchase the bots. So this is really gearing up for the 4th core status here on Q. And it will help him push through this Oracle counterpick for sure.
I mean, I kind of like this because now with the Boots of Travel, he can be somebody out on the map creating more space. So in the way, he is going to pay it back to the Dusa, right? Because now he's going to be out there aggressively shoving in lanes all the time, right?
I agree. I think it's a fair strategy here. I think maybe you could have split some of that with the Dusa, because I do think Dusa benefits a lot from just pulling ahead with this second item in particular, going into that Roshan. But the bots will mean that Q, it's better overall for the entire GPM of the team, right? Because now the Batrider is also going to be able to farm out a lot in terms of neutral camps and lanes, and just become a scaling threat. You can also just pay it back by buying more utility in this game. You go Force Staff, you go Solar Crest, Drum, Pipe, whatever. You can buy anything on this hero. Whatever they feel like is the best priority, you're going to get it faster.
And this is one of the reasons Talon was always looked at as a fearsome late game team, is because of the scaling of their supports. They're going to set it up on Ramses. A massive kill if they can get it. Shackle shot and lasso, but Solo's right behind him, ready to go with the False Promise. Heals him up a bit. Rams is going to be totally fine. And that's going to be a continual problem for Talon. They may have some nice carry-to-carry matchups, but this Oracle can even things out quite a bit with the False Promise.
He is the biggest target priority for Talon. They take the Oracle out of the fight. It simplifies a lot of things for their heroes, including these disarms on the Medusa later, if it ever comes into play. All of 9Pandas down here with this Helm of the Overlord timing for Miro, and that Halberd for Ramses, Witchblade for the Invoker. big items done all at the same time, including the blink on the Doom with the hoof, the War Stomp. So everything actually aligning here perfectly for 9Pandas. This is a fight they need to take into
They're
that
gonna get the
Roshan.
Doom out onto the Bat Rider, but the telekinesis
Stolen.
response got a stolen Doom, and he quickly runs straight at the Invoker. They get him with the duel as well.
No
A
false
beautiful
promise
response
either.
from Talon that will immediately get them 2 kills and lose nothing off the initiation from 9Pandas.
Just way too antsy here. That is not a jump you can make into the Dusa counter initiation when you have a Legion save, a Rubik who's automatically going to steal your ult, and you don't have false promise to bail out the duel. That little poke earlier with the lasso ends up paying off big time, as you can just automatically commit if you're jabs without any fear of a turnaround. I mean, Solo is standing here like, yeah, I got you immune to spell damage, bro. Yeah, good luck. Everybody is just melting to the physical. That fight did not look close the way they took it. I thought it was going to be better with how much was aligning in this period. They just didn't really get to use it all. No black hole goes out, no rupture goes out. This halberd from Ramses didn't even get in there.
You're getting to a point with this physical damage that Solo might have to false promise the person dueled and Fate's Edict jabs.
Yeah,
to disarm it, because he's hitting for 200 damage plus a hit thanks to the 76 duel damage he's added.
I mean, it's that plus the physical coming out from the Wind Ranger and the Medusa here. It's no joke.
Yeah,
500 gold from Forge Spirit, it's not too bad.
It's one of those situations, right, where there are too many damage sources for an Oracle to deal with.
Is it actually been that many Idol? Oh my, that's a lot of Eidolons, dude.
It's a lot. I mean, you expect it from the Dusa, right? It's a decent lane counter to Enigma, but it was also a lot of Rubik Eidolon kills.
Yeah, like, that's honestly a lot of gold from summons at the 20-minute mark. It is a fourth of the lead here for Talon.
Jabs trying to set up on him, but he sees 2 heroes, immediately backs out. They do not have, well, they have a dust on the Rubik, but not on Q, so Q is going to be caught stepping too far forward. Good dominating streak to pick up for the Pandas, as they get over 800 gold for that kill.
I think they're very confident baiting out situations on the side lanes. It's just very dependent on where Solo is, because he can't be everywhere. This is one of those games where you would love the Oracle to be behind everybody as you try and push these lanes in deep, versus the pickoff that has just come alive with this Talon lineup between the Blink Legion and the Blink Bat. You have to keep that in mind. Where is the Oracle if you're 9Pandas? How far can you push without Solo behind you? Who takes the dangerous farm? Who's going to split push the map? I mean, it's a Brown Boots 5, you know? It's a tough life you live.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying not to get jumped yourself. And so far the priority has been Ramses, keeping Ramses on these lanes, helping him shove out. I think Kiyotaka just has to play solo. Invoker is generally not a hero you can really play behind to save on the map anyway, as he should just be confident split pushing and not getting caught between the Forge Spirits and Ghost Walk. And it'll be a Lincoln's Blink build here. This is just designed to help split the map, not get caught, and not be jumped first in the fights with the lasso or the duel. Still a lot of spells in this game to break that Lincoln's. It's not going to be a get out of jail free card.
I mean, they have so much. I don't know. I just feel like there's too many counters here for 9Pandas. The Bloodseeker into the Dusa matchup feels terrible. You've got this Legion Commander, I think, that is a great answer to a lot of these heroes. I see 9Pandas, like, playing for, I don't know, pickoff and not being as aggressive as I would have expected with a Helm of the Overlord Enigma and a Bloodseeker versus Dusa matchup, you know?
I think they just want to force the Roche, and they're heading down here now. I think it's kind of your best chance to take it in this game before 23 man's up for it, as his Scotty is 1,000 gold away. That would be the signal for Talon. So this is pretty much perfect timing to go in there with that Mjolnir completed for Ramses. You kind of hit your timing a little bit faster than the Medusa here. You're going to take big advantage of it as that Aegis. This is where that Helm of the Overlord goes to work. I think Talon were a little caught off that this move was as decisive as it was.
And as a result, TP rotations are going to come too late for Talon. They'll concede control of this area of the map to 9Pandas.
So this is a powerful Aegis. If you actually get the 5-on-5, it will allow Ramses to go in. Maybe you trade the Aegis for a Stone Gaze. That's still enough for you to take the fight. And it's also a tool that can allow you to be in a situation where you no longer have to babysit him with the Oracle, you know? Ramses has grown into a man here as he no longer requires Solo behind him. The
so
father
Solo will play,
his son out of the nest.
Kick him out. They'll play with Kiyotaka instead to try and get a kill onto Jabs. Now, again, that Fortune's End is only going to do so much. Jabs, he gets away, and him getting away, I mean, this may be one of your last times to pick off Jabs, because he's working towards that BKB pretty damn quickly. And he's going to get even faster if he gets to farm a bunch of Eidolons and Helm of the Overlords.
Yeah, timing that existed for 9Pandas is going to meet a similar one from Talon with that BKB on jabs. Lincoln's done for Makoto, and the Scotty just picked up for 23. So a lot of 3 big defensive items here for Talon that make them all pretty obnoxious to go on here.
Yeah.
If you can continue to start the fights off the Bat Rider, I think you're really happy with that situation, as Kiyotaka is going to try the reverse.
He's got a 4 staff.
It's a lot of physical.
That is enough to get him away.
He's just so farmed on this bat. It's ridiculous how much gold he has accumulated in the first 20 minutes here. 130 last hits on a 4 position. No joke. I mean, you're asking what 9Pandas are playing for. I feel like it's just, I mean, I hate to say it, but it might be like the 50 or 60 minute mark, right?
Do you think their lineup actually does stand toe-to-toe against Talon that late into the game?
They can make it pretty weird. We're talking about the 4th core in the bat. I mean, you have a 4 position Doom. You get to like 4 or 5 slots on the Doom, it gets a little funky. You can get double Black Hole here, you can get double Rupture. And of course, Exort Invoker, no joke in that late game, especially in the hands of Kiyotaka. It's one of the most powerful late game heroes, even with some of the talent nerfs.
Well, I mean, the setup of this matchup was 2 teams that were comfortable going late.
Yeah, this
Seems
might go there.
That proves to be true in game 1, no matter what the draft is.
I mean, I think the one window Talon have is that second Roshan. If you get the second Aegis and Cheese here on your Medusa, you have a decent chance to push with that and try and create a large economic advantage through that time period.
That's very likely to be like your butterfly timing, right?
Which is going to be 3rd here for 23, as he's still incredibly farmed. And 9Pandas looking for the chase.
Got the dust onto Antares. 9Pandas beginning to back up. They don't want to jump too far forward. 23 Savage had needed a longer amount of time to complete his TP onto the outpost, but he's here now. So Talon might just be willing to step forward and challenge 9Pandas, despite the extra life they have on Ramses. There it is, the duel on Solo, a perfect target. How did they catch him there?
He's pinging that they had vision. I think they just went blind.
Yeah.
Jabs just
Oh,
knows.
pickoff after pickoff? Kiyotaka now gets caught in the mid lane. Oh, 9Pandas, this was supposed to be your time.
Little slip up on the map. This is your Aegis period. You're just not getting that fight. Can't find the opening. It's a question of who goes in first here. And if you don't find the Rubik,
nice.
It cannot be the Enigma. This is a big find if you can stop him going through the gate.
He's trying to go through the gate, but the Malefice is going to stop him. 23. He stayed on this side of the map after the successful fight they had. But his team all left to go for the Kiyotaka pickoff. 9Pandas do manage to get their revenge. Take advantage of these moves from Talon.
Deep Dire Obs paying off. Lets them stick around and find the solo Medusa here, as it ends up kind of being an okay trade, all things considered, because that is a huge target you had no business getting right now. And the first death for the 23 Medusa here. A lot of gold, and a lot of time to push these lanes in.
I love how many Heaven's Halberds we're going to be seeing here. Trying to address the Bloodseeker, trying to address the Medusa.
Always have that Fate's Edict for some extra disarm.
Yeah.
And this game might just come down to who can disarm each other or block enough ults first. Jab's thinking about that Halberd, and I mean, Q's thinking about a second Lincoln's here. It's going to be a lot of defensive capability. Just try and play around the one hero you want to carry these late game fights between the Medusa and the Invoker. Keep them alive and disarm the opponents.
Yeah, who wins if neither team can get spells off or hits off?
That is true. Who wins in the late game? A literal snake goddess or a man named Carl?
Well, I mean, I would say the embodiment of a literal black hole.
Or that. That's
I
fair
feel
too.
like that might be one of the most powerful forces in the universe.
It's up there. He is one of the fundamental elements.
You know my favorite lore?
Ooh, you're gonna hit me with some more.
Ancient Apparition.
Yeah.
The embodiment of the heat death of the universe. So he only grows more powerful as time goes on. That is a cool concept.
He is entropy incarnate.
Yeah.
And then there's an old man on a horse who's just as strong.
or there's a farmer who somehow managed to get himself on a bat.
That as well, yeah.
15-5. it has been a little bit of a slow push towards the mid game as both these teams seem very content with just being able to farm up. They occasionally play for a pickoff, but other than that, they're just kind of daring the other. Oh, no, we're happy. Go ahead. Farm up. We're going to go and farm as well. We're going to go late game. We have a black hole. Well, we have a stone gaze. Well, we have a lasso. Well, we have a false promise.
But only one team has
a lasso pull back.
Correct answer.
Into the duel. And false promise barely gets there in time. And now, it's still going to be a death on Antares, but they won't get the duel win, which is still nice.
A moral victory.
A moral victory, yes.
You are slowing down the Legion Commander scale here as Solo laps his way back to base.
I mean, it gave them 8.5 seconds of more farm time, you know?
That's true. Every little bit counts here when you are pushing towards these big late game ults. These cores on 9Pandas are no joke.
Hey, let's just throw down the black hole.
Yeah, you absolutely take that, as Sunstrike will secure the kill. And that's going to be more time on the map. 9Pandas should get out of here as well. Summons are going to force Q back.
Nice play from Miro. He got all those spells off without Jabs getting the BKB. And he's going to jump forward now into Q as well.
He does not want to give up this Observer. The wards on the map have been so valuable for 9Pandas in terms of playing around Talon's pickoff and finding their own. This is all about defending your vision right now as Q barely gets out. Sunstrike.
Try to blind, and we don't even see it.
Yeah, some of these I actually don't know where they went. I legit can't find them. They're just so next level. They're too next level even for me.
Okay, Aghanim Scepter on Ramses. How good is the Aghanim Scepter in this game when you're matched up against the Dusa? I assume it's going to feel a lot better for the other heroes in the game, though I don't even see necessarily the biggest, tankiest hero in there.
I mean, it's not amazing versus the Dusa. It's still some extra damage. I think the barrier is mainly what Ramses is looking at here, extra tankability when you go in. And if you ever find some of the other heroes, I mean, it's decent versus the Wind Ranger because you're still dealing damage through the Wind Run if you ever get her caught in the lockdown here. It's just a good item, right? I mean, there's not much else you can buy here. I guess the argument would be, are you just going to go MKB and hope that you can man up versus this Dusa in a head-on fight? That sounds pretty terrifying, right? Maybe that's like higher potential in terms of bringing 23 down. It's also way higher risk if something goes wrong.
Yeah, if he gets off Stone Gaze before you get in any disables, then okay, there goes that.
Yeah, you're way squishier.
So, we do have the Butterfly complete for the Medusa. We said this is going to be the window. Butterfly into second Roshan. For Talon, though, timings don't quite align. I mean, Butterfly was perfectly timed for when Roshan could spawn, but it won't spawn for the full 3 minutes. It is the latest Roshan you could possibly ask.
I have to say, I feel like it's good for 9Pandas here.
I think so too.
They're extracting more out of the map over time. This Doom is recovering with that max Devour, and you have a BKB finished on your Enigma. So Blink BKB Black Hole will be online in 50 seconds. You can push the summons in to give you some extra vision as well. And if there's one hero Miro has been confident on this tournament, it is the Enigma with the Black Hole. Sure, you have a Rubik who can steal it. It's just, there's a lot of spells in this game to steal. Let's say you go into the Doom, Ollie steals Doom. I mean, suddenly the Black Hole's free outside of the Stone Gaze. So these are some factors that Talon need to think about. Like, how much do you hold this spell steal to counteract, and which ults do you really need to deal with, and which are just not as high priority? It's also a big factor if you can start the fight on your terms. If you find a lasso jump, you find a dual jump, especially on the Oracle, you should be happy committing to that fight with Stone Gaze to buy you the time. 9Pandas coming in from multiple angles off of a Shadowblade Doom. They're going to find the bat to start. That is a great target if you can get him.
But the Force Staff gets him out of the Meteor. They don't quite land the Shackle as a response, though. Telekinesis thrown away. They don't want to deal with Ramses first. He is pretty tanky at this point in the game. Heaven's Halberd, BKB, and that Aghanim Scepter.
Even Elvin's Tunic is going to give him some minor evasion here.
Oh yeah, that's nice too.
9Pandas just continuing to fight for the vision. They have really good wards this entire
game. Look at them wrapping around here. Talon staying around their ward, but they don't have all their heroes here.
Yeah, and look at this dire one. Oh, they actually got it in the end with the gem. That was a very clutch ward to D-ward. They're going to send the dragon in. As 9Pandas still looking for an angle. This got pretty split between Kiyotaka and the rest of them. Now, Kiyotaka does have a gem, so he knows he's pretty secure down here. And he's giving some vision. How do you...
If he moves in, though, and from the trees, the gem reveals Kiyotaka, that could be a disaster. So it's a good thing he doesn't play too aggressive around this.
That's true. That was actually very close to being dangerous if Makoto just runs in.
Yeah.
And who can take this gate high ground? I mean, Talon control it. They also have Radiant side here with potential buybacks.
Now that's an advantage they'll have for 2 minutes, but then Roshan is going to switch over to the other side. It spawns now. Either team in the pit.
Big old Hellbear right there.
Yeah, they've gotten, I mean, that's 500 gold for 23 over this stall out period. He killed 2 Helm of the Overlords.
It's also just not a vision tool you're going to have. It's on cooldown, back up now.
And look at Antares. So deep. He's going to push out with the Shadow Blade. It's going to wake up Roshan, which, I don't know, that might signal something to Talon if they see that.
Well, they're just going to go with the black hole.
They just go onto the Medusa like that? Is that going to be enough damage? Actually, managed to burn him out of mana, but he eats up the, and he has enough mana to be able to get off the showcase, and now False Promise lays out onto the Bloodseeker for the turnaround. That gets him through the duel, but so much damage being laid into him. He's going to die here.
Turn.
They lost the Oracle. They all die. There was way too much physical damage. The False Promise did not do enough. Not even the heal off of the Legion Commander kill was enough. And Kiyotaka was actually the one to claim that last hit. That Bloodseeker needed a kill on somebody to heal back up, and he never got it.
I thought 23 was absolutely cooked there, and instead he turns it into an ultra kill. He got so much mana back after this, and this is the danger of committing everything on the Medusa. If it goes wrong, it goes really wrong. They did find the Doom on the Rubik to stop the spell steals coming out here.
What gave him half of his mana back?
I think he got fed Lotuses or something. It must have been some big Lotus out of the missing slot on Jabs. I don't know what else would have done it. I mean, he did have a wand.
Yeah, but he never used it.
It looked like a lot. And that is a big turnaround for Talon, as they're going to laugh their way to the bank here, and that bank is Roshan. Kiyotaka going to find Ollie back on the map, but maybe.
I think you're right about the Lotus, because I also see that Q is holding on. He just put together another great healing Lotus. That had to be an it, because it was an insane amount of mana that he got.
I'm pretty confident somebody fed him one of these Lotuses. I mean, it's like you play for him in Medusa. You just get these up, put them on your heroes. It is so much EHP going into the hero. Like a 400 HP mana Lotus is what, like 1,200 damage?
Yeah, I think it was actually the bigger one, because it was like half his mana that he got back. That's 900, so that seems about right.
That is a big turnaround here off of what was honestly pretty well executed from 9Pandas, right? You get the Doom on the Rubik to eliminate the Black Hole Steel. You all in them. It lasts the full duration.
They still keep going, but a duel with the Blade Mail out onto Miro. That's going to be a win for sure. 142 now for Jabs.
He is heating up here. This is a lot of damage to deal with on a Legion that is getting pretty damn farmed in this game.
And now we see why the teams wanted their Arcana so badly.
It's absolutely true. You got to send a message. You need every advantage you can get.
Aghanim Scepter now done for Makoto. So I think before the vision advantage was there for Kiyotaka being able to play with this gem and always be out there, but the Wind Ranger is even tougher when you've got that Aghanim Scepter, just constantly wind running, invisible around you all the time, and you can't even turn around and hit him.
Tormentor attempt is going to have to call in Ramses here for some reinforcements, as it almost kills Solo and Kiyotaka. Unless it will be Shard to the Oracle. Pretty nice one here. Reign of Destiny is not too bad in these fights that are really anchored around these big ults.
Yeah, centered around the duel especially, right? So False Promise, Reign of Destiny.
I mean, my only concern is how fast these team fights are ending. Like, they're basically ending within 4 or 5 seconds, right? It goes one way or the other. It's in the duration of a duel or the duration of a black hole. It's kind of when it's getting decided. So if you're itemizing here, you pretty much have to put everything into that time period. Like, it's going to go one way or the other very quickly. Maybe if you have buybacks, the fights get elongated, especially with ults on cooldown. But for right now, you just got to play for the save. You got to play for the duel or lasso blocks. And play for the disarms on the Medusa, I guess, is double halberd for 9Pandas, something else. They can just pour these halberds into the Medusa, try and get through these Lincoln Spheres. 3 of them are up, by the way, for Talon here, as they have between Makoto, Q, and 23. Triple blue orb for the Snake Lady as she pushes high ground. You gotta feel very confident here with 2 lives. You can't pour these ults into her. You can smoke and find the back line. That's an option.
Yeah, a nice ward placed there by Solo will give Antares an idea here.
He's trying to
Smoke
look.
breaks on Jabs, so we might know that somebody pushed through on the side.
Oh, he's gonna try and get the duel.
He does manage to get the duel out onto Jabs, and Ramses and Miro both jump out of their base to try and get after this, but they don't actually connect. And as a result, they just get lassoed up, immediately targeted down. Ramses is gone, and their lane of barracks might be gone as well, as he does not have buyback.
A single flame break just cut all those options off for the Bloodseeker. Never even got the BKB off. A very creative idea on how to take the fight off that ward and the Doom on the Legion that backfires horribly, and now you're just going to have to give up some buildings. There is no way you're contesting this without your Bloodseeker. You have no buyback on Ramses. Talon are just going to run down some lanes here. This second Roshan Medusa timing has just been way too strong to deal with. Even though you got the first, it was not enough to propel you in a position to take these fights. You have so much net worth, so many spells. None of them are doing anything for you right now.
Yeah. The worst part of this is that I can see how 9Pandas could win late game, but Talon, both in the late game and having a net worth advantage, which is probably going to be pretty big going late game, I feel like that's going to be way too much for 9Pandas.
All right, this is going to be a bend, don't break. You have to give up something during this Aegis, 30 more seconds. If you can burn his mana, keep him low, put him in a position where you have to back up and use the regen, your Bloodseeker will respawn. I mean, 1 Rax is not the end of the world here.
Yeah. But a second lane would cost you so much map control, but they are going to be able to hold it. 23 is going to back out, wait for that Aegis to expire. Now look at, you can see 9Pandas trying to catch them on their way out. They know this Aegis is expiring. They know Talon's going to back up around that time. And Kiyotaka is pushed out with his Blink Gem Scythe of Ice. He's going to try and catch something here. It looks like he's going to get Q. Meteor comes in. He's going to have one little window to get a 4-stab, but the damage was too much. Kiyotaka landed it all by himself, really. The Rupture did come out from Ramses, though.
And 9Pandas are going to have to keep looking for these types of plays off of the Ghost Walked Invoker with a gem. The thing about these is they're very dangerous, right? Because you're Ghost Walking this Invoker around with a gem, and meanwhile you have this Wind Ranger with Axe running around Invis with his own gem. These are 2 literal Invis ships in the night. If one of them finds the other, it's going to be bad for somebody. You just hope it's the other way around.
It's pretty cool. Makoto and Jabs trying to play with their smoke and invisibility and go into the enemy base and bottom lane. They're finding nothing, which is still information.
This is a nice play, though, I think. There's a decent chance you would have caught somebody there. An Arcane Rune up for Makoto means he almost guarantee gets out. Between Lincoln, Zags, and BKB on the Wind Ranger, he is a very tough hero to catch right now.
They may still have a chance, though he does have Lincoln, so we would require Jabs to get there with the smoke, blink, Heaven's Halberd breakthrough, or just catch solo underneath the ward. That's good too.
More dual damage. You'll know it's warded now. We'll trade his life for the obs in the end, perhaps. Well, Talon can also defend this. As Makoto continues to pick up every power rune in the game, he has shielded Arcane Rune right now. That is a damn good feeling.
The slow push forward from 23, who is beginning to cap out. He's got full 6 slotted with no boots on him right now. And he's going to try and take advantage of a very small window where the Oracle is going to be dead. But even then, their creep wave might not be able to make it through. Siege Wagon is up.
They got Kiyotaka's Courier, too.
Oh, what was on it?
Nothing, but he's trying to buy out for Refresher here. And I think it's a situation where you want to buy out on the Invoker, not necessarily save buyback, because you're just going to need it at some point.
Siege Wagon going to be kept alive by the Manta Illusions. He Sunstrikes, but the Siege Wagon moves forward. Whoopsie.
Get good, bro. I don't know what to... Cardi's just way too good right now.
Chooped by Cardi. That's not a good feeling.
Well, back to demo mode.
Lincoln's done for Jabs.
You know, something else to think about in this fight is you still have this cheese on Makoto.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of like cheese passing. And 23, we know he thinks about it. That's one of the things that we highlighted before this series, right? You go back to that Morphling game.
Yep.
This is a situation where if you try and all in the Medusa, he pops BKB, you can easily backpack BKB here on the Medusa and get past the cheese.
100%. They jump onto the back line. A Blade Mail does go up, but they got the lasso onto Kiyotaka. So even a duel on it, Jabs. Oh, the false promise on literally like 10 HP, 11 HP. But unfortunately, he's too damn stuck. Too much damage is going to come through, and they even just leave it behind to try and chase for more. Behind 23 Savage and Makoto, who maybe with the Flame Break and a Shackle Shot? No. Doesn't latch to anything. It's off the map there. Makoto hit by the Rupture. Talon are like, okay, great. We not only killed Kiyotaka, got a buyback out of him, We got Rupture out of them as well. They don't have an Oracle. They're drawing the line. Let's just go push for the high ground here.
This is a risky push in terms of if it somehow goes wrong. Like, you're looking at Roche respawning soon, which is your end win condition. You're almost guaranteed to get a good fight out of.
Third Roshan as well. If you will give up Aghanim Scepter or Refresher, that would feel terrible.
As tempting as it is to try and push her, I think you just play it safe. You play for the next Roche, you end the game with that. Especially with the Invoker committing buyback. I mean, now you know Kiyotaka is just not going to get to another item here before that objective comes out. It's just coming down to Ramses. How much can you get done? He does have a level 25 talent, so double Rupture, pretty damn nice. I mean, even if you throw one to Papa Lincoln's, like if you can get a Rupture on the Wind Ranger, might be something that can win you in a fight off that alone. And Roche is already up as Makoto just starts to solo it. Roche does not know what's hitting him.
Yeah, he's a little bit confused. 23. Boy, 23 is just crawling out around the map. It's not great. At 300 movement speed. He's going to buy out his Shard and take the Aegis here. He also takes the Aghanim Scepter. So he's going to get both his Shard and the Aghanim Scepter, which is a nice combo.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind giving the Ags to Ollie. As crazy as that sounds.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, double Rubik's Felsteel in this game is incredibly nasty.
I think they have hit a timing where this Medusa is just a slow-moving juggernaut that is going to push to the high ground and can't be stopped. Break through the Lincolns, can't quite get the dual jab, screwing it up, and now he's going to be caught in the black hole. Oh, he tried to make a move solo, and that is going to stall their push now for 90 seconds.
Oh, I mean, you just didn't see the Lincolns. No way around it. Had the halberd to pop it, didn't get it off.
So winded now.
Ballsy play from Jabs, backfires. It'll buy 80 seconds for 9Pandas here, waiting out that Aegis period. I mean, you are right. You just put everything in the Deuce here. The Ags on him, even for the extra mana and stats, is worth it. But, you know, I got to support my support players out there one day.
Later on, I think if they don't manage to close this out, I would like to see like a Swift Link for 23, so we can play the Swift Link, Stone Gaze, get in there a little bit more. But right now, just pushing forward to end the game. You hit this window, Jabs, he delays it a bit. Can 9Pandas delay it even more when he's back up?
The lane pressure, it's just not bringing Talon back right now.
Yeah. No,
they're afraid to go super deep with the amount of pickoff, and this Invis Wind Ranger on the map, it just can't be understated how much it has eliminated the split push here.
Wind Ranger is such a killer, and Talon, they upgraded this to their first, first phase draft, but it was something that they were jamming non-stop during Dream League.
Oh yeah, they love this hero. The final lasso on the Satyr. Get wrecked, son. You thought you were safe, but no. Q shoves you into the nether realm where you belong.
No, I like to think the Satyr, he dove in front of the lasso.
He didn't dive in front of shit, he just tanked it. Q wanted revenge. We will never know why he hates them so much, but he despises the Satyr Tormentors here. Another lasso in 20. And they're gonna go in and try and poke this Aegis Medusa.
Yeah, they got through his mana shield pretty damn quickly.
Yeah, that didn't look too bad.
Yeah, they're gonna take him out here. I think with, they pass him over the cheese now, so they want to keep this Aegis intact.
Atari's in the back right now. He's looking with this Shadow Blade. Again, who he goes on is pivotal for the team fight in Pandas. Do you try and find that Legion again? Are you trying to find the Doom on the Wind Ranger, or do you just take the Rubik?
Oh my god, Lincoln's break so many times. They jump on the Medusa again, push her away again. The range barracks has been forfeited. 23 is going to keep it going now.
Honestly, these man fights from Ramses have looked pretty good. He's chunking 23 fast. He has a butterfly of his own. They are getting through the mana here, and that's going to
get through his Aegis now. Tried to go again for the lasso, but realized the Lincolns was on Ramses, so he gave up on it. Now they're going to go for the black hole on Jabs. He stops it, gets the duel on Amiro. There is going to be a false promise out, so still an opportunity. The black hole turnaround.
No, it got used.
Got canceled. He got like half a second off of the black hole. Ramses caught inside the Gleipnir. He wants to go for 23 right now.
Double meteor
on him. Oh, the double meteor's doing so much damage. And 23 is going to be burned out. They grab Ramses with the lasso, but it doesn't matter. Ramses wants to go in deeper. He kills the Medusa with the help of Kiyotaka. Kiyotaka maybe doing the heavy lifting there with a double meteor thanks to his refresher pickup. It finally paid off in a big, big way.
I did not think he would get to that refresher for that base defense, especially with the buyback and the courier death. He eventually gets there and he makes it worth, just jams the burning sphere straight into 23. He does not have a defense as the BKB got popped for this black hole attempt, which went off for a split second, got canceled. He doesn't have it later and just gets melted. This Bloodseeker has looked unstoppable in the fights. Ramsey's just so damn big. And once you smell blood in the water, there is no stopping it. That is a team fight that 9Pandas won without the black hole doing anything for you.
And this is the part that is super scary now because the Dusa, Talon hit like a big timing. They wanted to end the game around this. Now the game is just going to go later and get messier, and I think that's more to the advantage of 9Pandas as their heroes are going to scale up further and further. As you said, the Enigma has so much growth. The Doom is finally going to start paying off.
You get refreshers here, you become terrifying. That was also the refresher for 23. I mean, you look at this Medusa's net worth. It is absolutely insane. He popped Refresher. That was, in theory, his double BKB timing on top of the Aegis, on top of the cheese.
I don't want to call anybody out too much here, Avery. Do you think Kiyotaka had that Refresher when Jabs died? Because he stalled their push for like 2 minutes, basically. Was that enough time for Kiyotaka to get his Refresher?
The death for Jabs when he went on the Enigma top?
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely got some assist gold off. That's all I'm going to say. He got some assist gold for sure. Every little thing
some
adds
assist
up.
gold plus 2 minutes of time, that might have made the difference of Refresher or not. And obviously the Refresher is what made the difference in being able to finish off the Medusa.
I mean, a big difference has also been Antari's finding Ollie every fight. That was another engagement where the Doom backstabs with the Shadow Blade, takes the Rubik out of the fight with the Doom. You even get the spell steal in the black hole here, but you can't use it because you're doomed up. This is a BKB Rubik who is yet to be able to make his impact felt because Antares has had his number every time with the Blink Shadow Blade, now Ninja Gear. I don't know how you really stop that. I mean, do you want to throw Lincoln Spheres on Ollie at this point?
Another shard.
Is it worth it? You got 4 of them. He's the only one without it.
Yeah.
Didn't get the memo. And it has been something that has worked very well for 9Pandas, as there's just no ult being turned around right now.
His shard is actually pretty nice. The EMP doing more damage, which he's obviously been using quite a bit against the Medusa, so it's even more of a burn on the Medusa, and the potential of grouping these heroes up for the black hole as well, because the
burns over 600 mana. This is a very strong hero versus Medusa in the late game. They'll find the Doom on the map. He has Gem, by the way.
Yeah, just what they need. This kind of kill is perfect. They're going to get a dual win for it too. So now the Rubik is more of a counter to the Enigma than it was before. There was a constant counterplay by Antares, like you were talking about, but he's dead for 90 seconds.
And you still have Black Hole here for a bit. This could be another just run at them opportunity, right? BKB Blink Black Hole from the Rubik. There's not really too much counterplay outside of the Oracle saves. You also have a full Wind Waker completed on Q. This is a huge, huge item here. If something about the duel goes wrong, or even just Wind Wakering 23 when he's stuck in a black hole or stuck in this Blood Mist, goes a really long way here.
That double Scythe Meteor is not going to be the same. 23 also has a refresher, so he has double BKB, double Stone Gaze.
Now they're going to find Ramsey.
Lincoln's doesn't quite work. They got the Rupture on a Q with the Tornado on him. He's going to take a lot of damage. This Sunstrike is going to be tanked up by Jabs. Very nice, because that Battle Rider was going to be super low.
Did get the Stone Gaze out of 23.
Yeah, okay, that's something.
You have to keep in mind, he has Refresher, so double BKB can get another Stone Gaze here as well, and he will claim a melee Rax.
Oh, they have 25 on Jabs. That's another factor. Press the attack, 1.5 seconds of debuff immunity.
Very strong here. Anything that bails your Medusa out of the Invoker Burst is going to be the key here.
They have so many things to be able to deal with that there. How do you stop the Rubik from counterplaying? How do you stop the Wind Waker and the debuff immunity from Press the Attack and the BKB from the Medusa?
You have enough ults that it doesn't matter. Double Rupture, double Black Hole, double Sight, double Meteor.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just double everything here, and if you get a Doom on the Rubik, you eliminate that. It might be enough. I actually think it will be if you can line it all up. I think Medusa dies. Man, I think that's the scary part here for Talon. This Medusa is mortal.
Like when you say double all of that, I thought you were talking about in the future, but no, right now.
Yes, they have it.
Bloodseeker has double Rupture off the Talent, and the other two have Refreshers. So yeah, they do have double of everything. All that's missing is double Doom.
If you had buybacks to that as well, in a base defense situation, that is a scary high ground. And they pretty much have them on the big cores. They don't have the Enigmas.
Unfortunately, they can't use those buybacks for a Roshan defense because it is going to be a Radiant side Roshan. They don't have a tier 1 or a tier 2. So there is no TP points to get them back into this fight unless they have Boots of Travels. But if they sneak the Roshan themselves...
This is without Kiyotaka. He's so much of their damage. He can join the fight, but he's not here clearing through the Roche.
Look at him. He's going to TP in. He's going to bots in. No way. 9Pandas? Are they going to be able to sneak this out?
The bane of
Talon,
their tournament.
They might just be a little bit too late. Jabs. He's going to have an opportunity. Power shot goes in. Jabs. He's going to be able to steal it. He's got a duel. There's the black hole in response. All of the things are still on the ground right now. Somebody pick up that damn Aegis. Jabs. He's going to die inside of the pit. They're holding strong with a false promise going out into Ramses. He's the one who got the Aegis, so he might die to this, but it doesn't matter. A black hole controlling up 23, but he's running out of resources. He goes for the refresher, but it's going to be a lot of mana he doesn't have anymore because too much damage came in. A big burst hit able to finish off the Enigma, but he still goes down.
9Pandas just want to get out right now. Buybacks out from Talon. If they escape, they got away with murder.
They got away with murder and Grand Theft Aegis. They just took away the Roshan that should have been Talon's.
What a clutch call and a clutch team fight here as they finish it. Actually, they didn't end up finishing it because Jabs gets this duel and it ends up just sitting here on the ground because no one can enter the black hole. Again, watch the Doom on the side. Ollie steals black hole and he only gets doomed afterwards. He never gets anything off in this fight. Meteor's just melting everybody and it buys time for Miro to get a second black hole while Cheese is still on the ground that Solo gladly picks up. Says, I will have that, please, sir. Another lasso countered out by the false promise.
Beautiful. Duel going to be delayed up as well. Jabs, who used an Aghanim Scepter, by the way, so they're not doing any damage to Antares. Oh, this is awkward. He still managed to kill him, fortunately.
The downside for 9Pandas is they committed a lot of ultimates into that Roche pit. You don't have your Enigma. Even when he's up, you don't have black holes here. And that is why Talon are pushing the advantage right now. They know 23 is strong. This is very risky. They bought back the Medusa, the Legion, and the Batrider for that fight.
They need a minute, but a minute might be too much. Ramsey's dying fast. They don't have the false promise. All they have is the cheese. They got the duel off on him. They just all on him. They say the cooldowns are up and we can kill him.
He does have buyback here. Will he be forced to use it? How far do Talon push this without a second life on their carry here?
Makoto, he's just pushing forward. Focus fire, takes out a tier 3, managed to get a lasso
on
to Solo. Aeon disc, that'll protect him. A buyback here from Ramses right in the middle of the fight. Trying to go for Q. A Wind Waker gets him away.
What did he get stuck on?
I don't even know.
He just couldn't move. His ankles got broken here. As that Bloodseeker buyback will get forced and Talon disengaged. That is what they wanted out here, to even the odds between Ramses and 23. They will get their revenge. I mean, I guess when everything is said and done, that ends up being pretty even outside the fact that you did take away that Aegis and Cheese from Talon that they really wanted here. There was also an Ags off that Roche, right?
Yes, so that was grabbed by Jabs. So in the fight, Ramses grabbed the Aegis during his false promise. Jabs grabbed the Aghanim Scepter, and he quickly chose to consume it during that fight. I'm not sure if he wanted, if like, in hindsight, if it would have been better to give that Ags to Q or Ollie. But that Aghanim Scepter is different. I forgot that they changed it so it's only 50% damage reduction, so you still can have your allies help you with the duel.
And I honestly don't know if he minds at this point because he's taking a lot of damage in these duels and a lot of them are getting false promised anyway.
Yeah.
The extra duration and cooldown is definitely nice. He did sell the Blade Mail, by the way, for this refresher.
Okay.
So that'll be his all-in while his buyback is on cooldown. Now you have 2 BKBs, 2 Aghanim Scepter duels with plus 250 damage. These hurt. Little less without the Blade Mail, but damn does he hit hard.
But look at this smoke wraparound with the Boots of Travel. Bots to play from 23 with his 7th
Ramsey's
item.
Courier.
Oh no! He lost a Basher.
That was his buyout. That is an important Basher to have. You are not going to have it for this next fight. Double black hole back up. Refresher, Hex back up for Kiyotaka. Everything is online here for 9Pandas. That is when the fight has been going well for them. And you got to remember, you're still buybacks for 4 minutes here on Talon in a very aggressive position. If anything, you want Makoto to break the initial go as he still has buyback and he's a very hard target to go on.
If invisible Lincolns.
Yes, you want this Wind Ranger in front. You want him to be the first point of contact.
Q's going to be the first point of contact instead. They got through his Lincolns, got him with the Scythe, but there is always the press the attack and more Lincolns that Talon can pump into any hero that's targeted there.
There's no way you fight into this high ground ward. way too hard for your team fight-oriented lineup here with big spells that you need to land on key targets. And the issue is, I guess you want to get some wave pressure here, because right now you have Medusa illusions cutting this top wave.
Yeah, and your other waves are being pushed in by super creeps, so they will eventually cause you harm.
Other couriers, I mean, Talon are happy with what is happening on the map right now. They're getting this top wave in. The base is going to be pressured. Yeah, 9Pandas just have to go back. They have to concede this position. No way around it as Talon will get them all back in base, and now they can look for a jump. Q.
That's what they want. Q. He jumps forward immediately at the false promise. Solo very fast on the
so
reactions
fast.
here.
That was so damn fast.
But false promise and BKB now on cooldown. So
30 seconds only. This false promise is not a big cooldown in this game anymore.
That's true.
They'll be back up by the time the lasso is.
Talon have worked with small windows before, though.
It doesn't feel like it,
Might
but
be able to do it again.
This game is approaching the 60-minute mark, too. You got to think about some tier 5 neutral items, especially if you have the advantage where 9Pandas are all stuck in their base.
Lakota commits. Focus fire, finish off the range barracks. They can do stuff like this. They can just focus fire the buildings, and 9Pandas, again, it's hard to pump in all of your spells into multiple Lincolns and press the attack debuff immunity.
And 9Pandas are also looking for the clump. They want Talon to clump off of a dual go or the Medusa going in, so this EMP shard sucks them all into the black holes. That's the dream.
And Tari's is out and about looking for a power rune. He gets the shield
many
rune, not what
Lincoln
he wanted.
spheres. So many spell deflections you have to fight through here. 4 of them all being thrown on Makoto.
Imagine if we get mirror shields.
I would pray for the single target players.
Makoto, he's
game.
committing. Melee barracks, almost glyph is going to be used. They really, 9Pandas have to stop this, otherwise you're going to be playing up against Megas. They have to get out and initiate on Talon. If they keep letting Talon do this, they're going to be stuck inside their base forever.
I mean, they popped 3 Lincolns. Ramses goes in for the rupture and gets met with another one. That was your glyph, too. They're looking for the flank.
3 more seconds.
Antares,
the focus fire is almost back up. The time to jump is now. Lincolns are going to start fighting through that one EMP with the ice wall onto Makoto, just trying to force some sort of reaction from Talon, get them to group up, so that way 9Pandas can do something with this, but Talon hold.
You just go back in. It's going to be Megas guaranteed.
He jumps for it, gets the Megas. Now they have to try and kill him on his way out, but he's just, nothing's landing. In fact, he gets a Gleipnir and Kiyotaka's the one in trouble. 9Pandas, they're going to have to just settle for fighting up against Megas, while 60-minute items are going to be farmed by Talon.
Look at this Kiyotaka scouting. He sees jabs right now. He's going to get the TP cancel.
Break the smoke. Can he get through this Lincoln to get him? He got him.
That was so damn close. Is there the follow-up? Is there chase here?
Q is on his way to try and help out. BKB, turnaround, jabs, refreshes. They do manage to get a Q. Antares pull him up into the high ground to the false promise. He does manage to blink back down. Solo using that false promise. Now going to be targeted. Wind Waker away from Q. Black hole thrown out.
Only illusions.
And he stole Black hole on Ollie. An opportunity for a turnaround. He's got Blink BKB. This is dangerous for 9Pandas who have not lost their carry for 2 minutes straight up. And Kiyotaka tries to jump in. Does Ollie even have to use that black hole? It just is not needed, really.
Buybacks forced out. And of course, Ramses, that's his dieback. 2 minutes. No Bloodseeker here.
They got to kill at least Makoto here, but the Wind Waker comes through. He comes back down still into the black hole. Press the attack, off that debuff immunity. He's walking away. He's walking away. They can't even take 1 life away from Talon, let alone 10. It's just not working for 9Pandas in the late game, being herded back to their fountain. Mega's up against them. There's the black hole. Ollie immediately gets doomed back up, but you might be able to stop some of the black holes, but you can't stop the damage from hitting your throne. Talon will take a 1-0 lead in this elimination series.
And all the GGs being thrown out here. That was a very close game. Those Roche fights are nail biters there. If you get 1 more Deuce kill, 1 more Wind Ranger kill in this game, you might be able to force it over the edge there if you're 9Pandas. I mean, you're getting to this 50 or 60-minute mark where that game becomes very chaotic, very weird, especially with these refresher orbs coming out on the Invoker where suddenly 23, he just disappears one fight. Makes you think about how you're taking these engagements, but ultimately, it's those 4 damn Lincoln spheres that just cause so many problems here. You're stacking him on a hero that is already difficult for 9Pandas to lock down in the Wind Ranger, and it guarantees the Megas. It guarantees you a frontliner that is difficult for 9Pandas to initiate on, despite Antares having Ollie's number for so much of that game and doing an amazing job locking down the Rubik on the backline to prevent those black hole steals getting turned around. It's still enough that Talon can push through this game and find the opening with their Medusa.
For me, this series was all about momentum. And whether or not Talon, after losing that heartbreaking upper bracket game, were going to be able to bounce back in the lower bracket, they've now done this, and they put the onus on 9Pandas in a big, big way.
Oh, the
9Pandas?
Pressure's on.
No. 9Pandas, it gets worse. Not only are they 1 game away from losing series, they have never beaten Talon in an official match. They are currently 0-5 against this team. You have to win 2 games in a row to be able to stop yourself from getting eliminated here at the Riyadh Masters. It's going to be a tough series for 9Pandas. We'll see whether or not they can bounce back.
That was a really, really great game by Talon. I mean, I am just so happy to see them in this form after their last series. We were all so concerned about what it would look like, but your concerns are for naught. That was just beautifully executed by them. I thought the laning stage went incredibly well for Mikoto on that Wind Ranger. He really put a beating to Kiyotaka's Invoker, who of course came back through, beautiful plays and beautiful farming, but I love that the Talon supports placed their focus on ganking mid and securing Medusa's lane, and it really showed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the draft from 9Pandas, I'll give them a little bit of credit. Like, that looked unplayable past like 30 minutes. Like, once Medusa gets to this critical mass, I thought she was never going to drop. But Seb mentioned the late game prowess of the Invoker in that matchup, and they managed to bring 23 Savage down, like, despite all odds, and like fights like this that are absolutely chaotic and could go either way. Like, we got a good show, even though it felt like Talon did have, like, they were dictating the pace of the game the entire way through.
Yeah, they were. I mean, it was a really good Medusa pick, very problematic for 9Pandas to deal with, and I think all things considered, Medusa did hit the timings that she wanted to. She got first, second Aegis. I think it's, obviously Talon played a really, really good game, and they were the better team this game, but I want to give credits also to 9Pandas for holding the game for as long as they did. It's really difficult when you're playing an unfavorable draft and you don't really have the momentum of the game going for you. Medusa has the perfect game, uncontested, gets everything she wants from the map in a perfect Medusa game, and they made it look competitive towards the end. So props to them. I think we have 2 really, really good teams here. Both are in great shape, and I think the series is just beginning. We might get a big banger of a series.
Yeah, I really hope so. And it's just very impressive that 9Pandas always pull off these hyper greedy drafts that you think will just have them be rolled over by minute 25, minute 30, but they always manage to make it all the way through to that 50-minute plus mark. And you ask yourself, how is this team doing this? On paper, they should not be able to, but it's just skill is what it is. It takes them all the way through.
Yeah, we saw exactly what 9Pandas was aiming to go for with the disadvantageous draft that they had. Unfortunately, of course, not able to do it this time around, but it did lead to a lot of great fights to watch, and so we have chosen one of those great fights for our STC play analysis. There were a lot of cool moments, mostly created by black holes coming out from Yarrow, and this was no different, Seb. This was definitely one of the fights where potentially 9Pandas had a shot making a comeback.
Yeah, this was a really close one, and it's a very, strong attempt. And you can see, like, the LC goes in, he does get the duel in the midst of all the chaos, which gives a lot of space for Enigma to cast a great black hole. Rubik seals it and instantly gets zoomed. So big plays by Antares. It allows Enigma to finish casting the black hole. Rubik has no impact on this fight. They take down the Medusa thanks to this. He gets to refresh, cast black hole again on Medusa, does not have to worry about the Rubik. Medusa is gonna die, even though she clicked refresher. She had 2 BKBs, and despite all of that tankiness, she does die. The problem is, it's a Radiant Roche, she presses buyback, TP's back in, and they have to get out. And this is just, the nature of the game sometimes. It's an unlucky timing for 9Pandas. They did everything right in this fight, even though being at a disadvantage. They won the fight, but, buyback into TP to the outpost, that's just the nature of Dota sometimes. Roche is on that side, they have to let it go.
Yeah, that was also the fight that got them megas, got Talon megas in the end, of course. And then from that point onward, it was desperation plays, Brian, by 9Pandas, trying to get that one pick-off that might lead them to spiral into more.
Well, yeah, it's also, I really like the courageous plays that, like, Mikoto made to focus fire the racks, like, even on the side of Talon. Like, they were in a I would call like a stable draft, stable situation, but 9Pandas, we all mentioned, they were dragging out that game for so long that eventually, like, Talon's like, we got to make some game-winning plays. We can't just coast our way through, even though we have the advantage the whole way. And when they do that kind of stuff in such a tense game, mentioning, you know, coming off of the series we saw them in a few days ago, that's really cool to see.
Yeah. Something that we see in 9Pandas a lot is them on the Dire side. And there was a point, Seb, that you made at the start of the series that they prioritized that. So that probably would be this as well, because they're like the only team that consistently choose Dire side. And I believe you can tell us exactly why.
Yeah, I mean, many teams usually prefer first pick or second pick. These guys prefer Dire, and there's a big reason why. So I'm gonna break this down a little bit. I'll try to be quick and brief, but most teams, this is big insight in the sense that most teams don't even discuss this. So I'll help you understand it. If you look at the map here and you look at the Raiden tier 1 mid, you can see the uphill to the right that the Dire can invade. It makes it extremely difficult for defenders to defend this tower just because they have an uphill advantage. They're in the fog, and you're literally in range of getting spells casted at you when you're defending the tower. And as it turns, the map is not symmetrical at all, because if you look at what happens on the other side of the river, which is the Dire tier 1 tower, you can see how the ground is completely different. There's no uphill to attack from. There's a lot of tree lines, as we're seeing here, where the defenders can hide and juke and get ready to defend that tower. So that tower is much, much easier to defend than the Radiant one in a team fight situation. And now, if you look at 9Pandas, they're the team that is known for the Lycans, the Enigmas, the very heavy pressure heroes from the offlane that can attack basically from that jungle because they've taken that jungle and made it theirs. And when the Radiant team, which is Aster in that case, is trying to defend the tower, you can see how the angle is really difficult to maneuver, as they have the uphill advantage and they're ready to, kind of dive you without taking any risk really. And this is what 9Pandas sees in Dire that they really enjoy, and we can just see how it's going to play out. For instance, trying to defend this tower, what happens then is they get that sick angle, Sumail's trying to defend the tower, they get the lift, they get the Sven stun, and honestly, it's almost impossible to deal with that as Radiant. You just have to let it go or take a fight that is highly unfavorable. And in a lot of their games, 9Pandas, they like to pace on the enemies. They have these Lycans, as I mentioned, Visages and Broods, where they want to take early map advantage. It's nighttime also, the best time to attack, and therefore this mid tower is going to lead to Ancient for them. In a game like this, they're going to be able to contest Deuce's Ancients after the mid tower falls, and that's only after the mid tower falls. So that's one of the reasons. There are others, but one of the reasons why 9Pandas prioritizes Dire over Radiant, basically. Other reason could be, for instance, that when they're strong and after they have, achieved that advantage, Roshan is going to spawn on Dire on 15 minutes. And that is also the same timing, the second nighttime, where they got tower advantages, gold advantage, and they're gonna go take Rosh. So that's really how they get their pace up, and that also explains why almost 90% of their games here in Riyadh are on Dire.
Yeah, it's been a good success for them. Although obviously this game that we just witnessed, they were on Dire, they had the comfort on that side, but not the win. So they need to reset and think about what they're gonna do in game number 2. And we're gonna reset a little bit as we go over to Jenkins, see what he's up to.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here in the venue with some fans of 9Pandas, and we're going to play good cop, bad cop, and neutral cop because we had 3 guys. So you're going to be a neutral one. Which one of you guys is going to be the good cop or the bad cop?
I might be the good one.
You're going to be the good one? You're the bad one.
I'm going to go bad, right?
And I should definitely explain what that means because I didn't. We're going to motivate 9Pandas to win the next game by either flaming them or motivating them, or I don't know, whatever you're going to do. So you go first. You're the good cop. What do you say to 9Pandas to win game 2?
I still think that 9Pandas have a really good game ahead of them. It's not that Talon won, it's you are the ones who lost because you failed, but I'm sure you can do much, much better. You had good moments, and I'm sure that you're going to have much better ones in the next game. Go 9Pandas!
Nice, beautiful stuff, very good. Dota players, but they don't do this. They don't respond well to it. We obviously got to have the negative guy. Let's hear it.
Negative. Yep. Well, family show, but basically, you should stop being a solo player team. Of course, we have a captain solo, but man.
Stop being a solo player team. That's right.
That's true, man. Unnecessary deaths in the beginning. Stick up, like play together. It's the common game, right?
Pub mentality, ladies and gentlemen. It's always about that hindsight. And now for the neutral guy.
9Pandas, let's go physical. Yeah.
I don't. What does that mean?
Physical damage, but side minus.
Okay, that was very neutral. That was actually very neutral. Very generic Dota stuff. And speaking of generic Dota stuff, we're going to talk about very not generic stuff. Back to you at the panel.
Jenkins, we talk about way more than just neutral things. We have a lot of things to say about these two teams that are sometimes just straight hard truth. Where we already said earlier today, Talon is coming in as the favorite. 9Pandas, they are coming in as the underdog, and they were just cooled in that first game. We're going to find out if they can reset and come back stronger in game 2, because they definitely did show us some good Dota 2. And thinking about that game 2, and thinking about, Seb, what you just said, why would you, as Talon, not just say, you know what, we're gonna play Dire, take you out of your comfort zone?
I think if they have the if you have the choice, you will. But thing is, what actually matters in these like tier 1 matchups is what you actually want rather than what they do, right? So if Talent, they have to, you have to come into a game as the favorite in your own mind, that you can beat them, and what you want to beat them with. If your strong strategy is based around first pick or second pick, you just go for that and give them what they want. I think it's usually a mindset, it's a wrong mindset to think too much about the opponent and try to counter them, and then you're like, what was our plan already, guys? It's like, I don't know, but they didn't get what they wanted. But that's not going to win you a good game. Like, you can prevent them from winning it for as long as you can, but if you don't have your own plan, you know, at the end of the day, you got to win it. And I assume that, yeah, Talent's still gonna go for what they want and what they like, and they just beat them while them being on Dire. So if anything, they should just understand what's coming and play around it.
Yeah, I think 9Pandas got a lot to think about, but I also think, Brian, that Talent got something to think about, because they did win, yes, but it wasn't super clean.
I mean, like, at the end of the day, you also have to give respect to your opponent. Like, they have to assume themselves as the favorite, as Seb mentioned, be confident in their game plan, but they also know, like, they're in the top 6 right now. This is where you're playing against world-class teams, and they're not going to go down easy, and none of these teams have. Like, we've been seeing crazy long games. Everybody's made to work for it, and what I love about Talon over the course of this season is that they have been consistently a late-game team, but the way they get there is much cleaner, much more gradual and methodical, to the point where it feels like there's no like hiccups in the plan. There's no like, you know, ups and downs. It's just straight like gradual to the victory. And when I watch their itemization, it's just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, speaking of something that is a pleasure to watch, the draft, always a pleasure to watch, as it is it's a nice back and forth dance, and we're moments away from game number 2 between 9Pandas and Talon. So, of course, lower bracket winner will move away from the top 6 and into the top 4, and that is an extra $400,000 on the line here. Of course, moving from 800K to $1.2 million in prize pool here at Riyadh Masters. So the pressure is definitely on Talon. Taking that first game, they are looking to strategize into taking game number 2 as well for 2-0. But we've seen these matches, Effie, we've seen time and time again, all these games go to distance.
They do, and you can never count out your opponent, especially at this stage of the game. And honestly, I feel like 9Pandas were very impressive in that game, even though they lost, because that Medusa was just absolutely perfect. And maybe that was the oversight, that they thought they could let it through and beat it, or maybe they even forgot about it. But in spite of having the perfect pick on the side of their enemy carry, they still managed to make the game last 60 minutes. So they are still feeling pretty good about themselves, and I think they just need to reconsider some of their drafting choices.
I can assure you that actually for 9Pandas, Ramses is clicking the buttons. Like, he's the one at the end of the day clicking the heroes. And when you're a Bloodseeker player, you let the Medusa through, you 100% forgot about it. There is no Bloodseeker player in the world that will tell you, oh, nice, a Medusa, I love this match.
That's all right.
Yeah, I rupture him, I run in, I do 0 damage, I run away.
He's full health the entire fight, that's fine.
Yeah, that doesn't work. He even bought Halberd, which was an amazing item. I think he went like Maelstrom into Halberd versus Medusa versus Wind Ranger, great value. It just didn't matter. But I think the first phase was really good for 9Pandas in the last draft. You know, we talked about them getting Dire, and Talon got second pick, which enabled the Medusa 18 pick, right? That's why this pick is so strong, as you see 4 heroes and you're like, yep, we're gonna pick Medusa. And I think 9Pandas, they just messed up the second phase, honestly. They in the second phase, they banned the Naga, which would have been a really good hero for Talon against Enigma and Doom. They banned the Silencer, which enabled Invoker. At the end of the day, it was also a very good ban. Enabled Enigma, obviously, Global versus Black Hole, and also could have enabled an Ember pick. That was something they could have been looking at. There was one ban though in the second phase that they did that ruined everything, in my opinion, is the ET ban. I think the ET ban was very casual. They ended up playing versus a Rubik, so I don't think ET would have been that much better than Rubik. And they let through this now, infamous Medusa that eventually lost them the draft. So these second phase bans are insanely important. They're really, really hard to deal with. It's the hardest part of the drafting right now in Dota is nailing your second phase.
Well, we do have a little bit of a change up because it does seem like Talon is on the dire side. So a bit unusual there. 9Pandas second pick and Radiant, perhaps they prioritize having that overall last pick for their squad.
Yeah, they're going to set themselves up for better laning matchups and better scaling. That's the definition of second pick basically right now.
And also in these elimination games, if you have your one super explosive player, what you want to do is just enable them as much as you can and get Kiyotaka his win condition hero. Let him counterpick the enemy mid and just watch him pop off on one of his signatures.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to look to do this game.
100%. And now one of the big questions is the Storm Spirit. You know what happens? Both teams are willing to first pick it. They've shown it. So do you let it through or do you not? And maybe the pressure is on 9Pandas to actually ban it. Yesterday in the series, Talon actually went ahead and first picked Storm into Liquid, like straight up, just a casual Storm. So they're not shy when it comes to doing that. So now 9Pandas is just gonna have to decide what they like. At the same time, I'm thinking that 9Pandas have maybe the best Sky player in the world right now in Antares. He's a Grandmaster Sky. He loves that hero. Obviously, that is one of the heroes that shuts down Storm the most in every phase of the game. And probably that is what they're baiting here right now. They're not banning the Storm, they're letting it through, and we'll see what their answer is. But again, they're one of the best Storm teams in the tournament, 9Pandas. They also first face it without seeing anything. So they have a plan ready for the Storm, and they're just like, pick it, or if you don't, we will. So now Talon's dilemma is like, do they pick the Storm, or do they start preparing against a double pick Storm from 9Panda?
Yeah, going off of your point that you made about the Radiant and Dire choice for 9Pandas, they have Miro on a summon zero like 90% of games, and the last two games that they've played Radiant, they had him on a hero like Timbersaw, where it's more so they play the farm game and more about like kill threat. Like last time they had Skywrath Storm themselves with that Timbersaw, so you can see they have a plan if they are in this situation, which I assume Talon put them in, but it is a very different strategy that almost certainly is because of like that entire dynamic on the map.
It is. And now you see the first pick Storm.
There it is.
Skywrath, as predicted. I mean, this is very textbook from both teams. They're getting what they like. I think you could make a case for picking the Kiyotaka hero already because you see the matchup and you don't really have a reason to wait. If anything, the longer you wait, the more chances that your top picks are going to get banned. So let's say he's looking at an Ember or whatever he would like to play into a Storm. And he also kind of has to guess what's going to accompany the Storm to help him. We've seen Storm Cuddle as being a very strong combo. We've seen Storm Silencer also. Global Silence to protect the Storm as he goes in, make sure he can retreat safely and then re-engage. Or you could just, go for something completely different and ignore the mid matchup for now.
I was wondering if they would just go back to their Doom, because if you pick the Doom of the Sky, you're just giving up your Doom flex to the support, right?
True, actually. Yeah.
But I think that they just value it so much as a hero, what it provides to them and how they play with it, that they don't even care.
So that puts it on 3.
Yeah, that does put it on 3.
Could be 1, technically.
Could be 1 too, actually.
I haven't been a huge fan of it when they do that.
That is true.
Could be 1 too.
I think that if they picked Kiyotaka's hero right now, they could have gone for something like super sturdy that we've seen a lot the last few days, like the Templar Assassin. But we have seen Kiyotaka bust out some Meepos and things like that. So if they're looking at that Meepo hero, bringing it out this early cannot work.
Yeah, it's probably more difficult. And now Talon, they go for the Medusa again. I mean, it is a very good hero versus Doom. Doom usually triggers the Medusa pick just because dooming her just doesn't work. If she presses Stone Gaze, and most of the time, well, if she presses Stone Gaze, you cannot Doom her. It doesn't do anything. She's still going to win the fight. And the Doom is usually just not enough. She keeps split-shotting and, she doesn't die through the Doom. I think a hero that 9Panda is really going to want, of course, there was the Anti-Mage, Instaban versus Storm Medusa. It is the best pick in the game. They're going to be looking at Wind Ranger most likely. Very good matchup versus Storm. And one of the best heroes against Medusa. So I assume that it's most likely going to get banned. It's been one of the best Kiyotaka heroes also. So now it's just all about nailing the bans for both teams, and I would say it's even more important for Talon. They need to make sure that the 4th pick from 9Panda is just not gonna break the game wide open, like they've done when they were 2nd pick.
Because we can't forget about the potential Doom flex that Brian talked about, because another hero to look at is Darkseer versus Medusa. Like, in theory, if this Darkseer gets let through and you have it on 18, you could flex the Doom to 1, and then you could just play this Darkseer versus Medusa, which would also be awesome.
It would be amazing, actually. That's a very good point. The Darkseer flexing the Doom could be +1, could be +4. I mean, I assume that the +4 Doom is maybe not possible, because the Sky is most likely Antares hero.
Yeah.
So if there's going to be a flex, it's going to be a Ramses Doom, I would say. But the Darkseer would be an amazing pickup for them.
Solo has never played Sky or Doom, so if they were to do something like that, it would be putting somebody on their first game of that hero in the tournament, which
unlikely.
I would always steer away from based on the track record of some of the times that has happened. But what I really like about the Doom also, as you mentioned, Mira, about the Darkseer, is it also dissuades them from picking Darkseer on Talon, which is a common synergy with Medusa, because Doom's safe lane has traditionally been very good against Darkseer. Like in the past, some of the only times we ever saw Doom carry was specifically for that matchup. So it's like a little bit of a, it allows them to actually delay that Darkseer pick until later. Like sometimes you're forced to take that core on your third pick.
And the thing about this Doom safe lane flex, if we're going to theorycraft a little bit more, is that in game 1 of the series that we just saw, Ramses had a great lane because his hero just stood his ground against the LC. And in this game, Doom can stand his ground while supports can rotate and actually secure the mid lane for Kiyotaka, because Talon support were really on point with their mid lane rotations. Like, Invoker stood no chance against them in the first 10 minutes. So having the self-sustaining type of carry that can be flexed to 1 can make it easier for 9Pandas to enable Kiyotaka to carry this game.
If you're 9Panda right now, the absolute ideal scenario is to keep the flex on the Doom for 1 more pick, because then you'll see 2 picks from Talon, then you can decide however you like it. So I would expect them to pick the mid hero on their next pick, because they see the Storm, they see the matchup already. They have supposedly protected it with the bans, or decided that the hero is protected it enough to be picked, and then they can decide what they want to do with the Doom, unless they feel very confident and they feel like they don't need to keep flexing that Doom. But obviously, you know, it would just empower their draft to, it would be more of a counter picking scenario.
This is some respect for that Tiny, by the way, because that Q Tiny that enables them to pick the offlane Enigma, the offlane Darkseer. Like, I wouldn't say Tiny's a hero that we often see banned, so props to like Q as a player, that 9Pandas respects that hero enough from you individually to ban it.
Yeah, the Wind Ranger got through. I would really love to see Wind Ranger for 9Pandas. I think it's a really good pick. You get an early ATOS with the Storm, you synergize really well with the Sky. Early game, you don't really have to worry too much about not having enough lockdown, because 1 silence from Sky and the Storm is just gonna die. It's just too strong. And then later, you know, you get the ATOS, you scale into the Medusa. It seemed like a very good option. Now, obviously, Kiyotaka Wind Ranger is really something to be feared. I'm really surprised about this Tiny ban. It feels like, because I assume this Tiny would have been a position for Tiny.
Yes.
So maybe they're worried about a certain position 5 hero that they're trying to protect, that they need to pick for solo, because ET is out. Maybe he doesn't like Oracle versus Storm as much, and Undying is out. Or maybe it's a Tiny +1 combo that they're trying to break.
Yeah, it could also just be indicative of some kind of backline hero that they're trying to protect, but it's also just respect, because this is one of the signature heroes of Talon. They played so well with it, and they've run it time and time again.
Yeah, they go for the Enchantress.
That will be Solo's hero right there.
Yeah.
We've seen him wreak havoc with it, and they keep their Doom still flexed.
Even more early game pressure. So this is a, let's bring the pain to this Medusa. You know, let's not let her have free reign on her side of the map. Let's contest this area. You know, this Enchantress getting level 3, getting her creep, gating behind Medusa. This is the kind of gameplay we're going to be looking at here.
Also, it's kind of adding a double layer of protection versus the Darkseer that is still left in the pool that we've talked about. Like, yes, there is a Doom, but the Enchantress is a great hero to put on a lane against Darkseer in case Talon do decide to play it in the end. So I do like it. I think it also enables a potential Ember Spirit to come out of 9Pandas, not just the Wind Ranger, because now you have this Enchantress that can rotate to your mid lane early, help you get that tower, and you have the chains into Mystic Flare combination.
And to be fair, like, Enchantress versus Medusa in the game isn't bad either. It's one of the few supports that actually can deal with the laning pressure that Medusa does when she just clicks Manta to out-push waves. Enchantress actually stops it. And it's one of the few heroes that also is gonna deal a lot of damage into a Medusa that's just standing there and tanking impetuses with Dragonlance Enchantress. So definitely not a bad pickup. Obviously, it doesn't do much to a Storm when you pick Enchantress, but you have a Sky. So now the Storm problem is kind of covered.
You had mentioned in your Radiant vs Dire Tier 1 like dynamic of the terrain is that it's easier for team moves for Dire, but it's easier for supports on Radiant to wrap behind dire tier 1 just because there's so many open areas. So like what they're threatening right now in terms of shutting down the Storm, maybe not in the game itself, but like if they pick a mid like the Wind Ranger or like a DK that's like hits this level 6 and suddenly there's just a ton of pressure on the mid tower, then these two heroes are gonna like amplify that tenfold just by the sheer like numbers that the collapse. I would much rather be these two compared to like a silencer.
For sure. I mean, this is some of the toughest, like most aggressive support duo you can ever craft. Like Sky plus Ench is insane presence in the early game. You know, like the Techies, the Skywrath, the Enches. Like this is it can snowball out of control really quickly for the Storm. And they pick the Ember Spirit, which is, I know a lot of Ember players actually like the matchup into the Storm, but now if you find yourself versus Sky Ember, if Storm ever meets these two heroes, he just dies from full HP. And obviously once they're gonna have global, it's gonna help. But early game can look very, very scary for us.
Well, that comes out real quick, too. It's like side effects chains, Sky ulti, and like unless you're pressing global when the second they show on the map, it might be too late.
No.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before when I was talking about the Ember Spirit, is when you have an Enchantress, it just makes your lane that much better because Enchantress is one of those heroes that does the early rotations to the tower, and at that point, once you have like 3 levels of Slide and an Enchantress in your lane, you kick the Storm out no matter what, even if he does have a Clockwork, even if he does have a Silencer.
So like early game 9Pandas, they have amazing tools to completely destroy Talons, honestly. Like if they play it right and if they pressure well enough and Talon do a couple mistakes here and there, the early game could easily snowball 9Pandas' advantage. What I do dislike a little bit about their draft is that it is, again, a perfect Medusa game. None of these heroes are going to deal with Medusa if she gets a stable game. Ember does nothing to Medusa, Doom does nothing to Medusa. So there's a lot of pressure on the Ramses hero to allow them to scale even after having like a strong start, unless they completely snowball the game and they stomp them in 20 minutes. But if the game is remotely close, there's going to be a lot of work to do for the Ramses hero. He needs to be something that scales into Medusa in the late game.
Now there is still a like it in the pool if they want to really go for early game and put the Doom on Ramses and get Miro's Lycan out.
In that case, it's Darkseer. In that case, it's Darkseer because he's still in the pool, and this is the hero that will give you scaling against this Medusa through the low. Like, I really think if they're going to do this Doomflex, it should be for Darkseer and nothing else.
Okay.
Otherwise, you should pick the Ramses hero to fight the Medusa.
What does Ramses play though against Medusa that is left? Like AM is out, Naga's out, Morph is out. I'm thinking of Ramses Jogger. It's a hero that carry players like as a matchup versus Medusa. It could be an option.
Faceless Void was their solution back during Berlin Major. That was the hero that they constantly ran versus the Medusa.
It can be good, but I think it's a little bit scary because like there's no damage is gonna come in Chrono. I mean, there's the Sky Ult and the Ench, but the other two cores, at least Ember and Doom, don't synergize really well with Void. He'll have to be really, really fat with a lot of net worth, which is possible, honestly, because their lanes are so strong. Could be an option.
My #1 thing for his hero is it has to be independent, like hard to gank, because you're allowing this Enchantress to leave lane once you're like level 4 or 5. So like Slark, Void, like Monkey King, something like this that can either amp up the pressure on the off lane or... But it's not really like Ramsey style. He might just go Alchemist.
I see the Jogger, to be honest. I feel like, yeah, Alch could work. Alch could work with a big net worth advantage, but at some point, Duza just kills into Arc. Okay, it's gonna be the Jug. It's good. It's a really good lane. Against the Darkseer, it skills into Medusa, and if they do get ahead, they're gonna group up around the healing ward and creep to take down towers with Jogger. They can pace up, and they don't have to be worried. If they get a map advantage, if they're pressuring Talon and they're winning the game, and they have, let's say, 70% or 80% of the map of farming, this Jug will outscale the Medusa. It's not like last game where, it's a tough matchup. This is a good matchup for Jogger.
I'm really shocked that they picked this Darkseer on Talon. It's already addressed, I think, through the Doom and through the Enchantress, who completely dumpsters Darkseer on lane. But I guess they were afraid of that flex on Ramses until the very end, because if they had gotten Darkseer, that would have been difficult to deal with. Maybe they just respect the hero enough and what it provides the team, but where they thought that it would be good enough for them. But for this draft, I would lean towards 9Pandas because I feel like they've addressed every individual hero on Talon quite well.
Including the Medusa.
Including the Medusa, because this Juggernaut is going to have a great lane versus the Darkseer, because he has the Ench.
So yeah, the worst thing is when Medusa feels like she has to show up to fights, or like the rest of her team has to huddle around her because there's nowhere else to go. And I think that's kind of the game we're set up to have. Like bottom lane, Juggers should free farm. They should be able to collapse on mid, and once they do that, rotate back to Doom when he's level 6, and effectively all 3 lanes will snowball from there.
Yeah, very strong drafting from 9Pandas. I would also give them the upper hand. I think it's gonna come down a lot to the clutch factor from Q and Ollie, like the 9 Talon supports. They have a lot of lifting to do this game.
The clock and the silencer. It's a lot of lifting. We'll find out if they are going to get their rotations on point here in game number 2, which for Talon means 1 game between them and moving forward here in Riyadh Masters and securing top 4 and also $1.2 million, which is quite nice. Actually adds extra pressure to the game for the viewer perspective, but we all know, and we've heard plenty of times before, that the players, once they're in the game, Seb, just confirm me on this. Once they're in the game, it's just Dota on the mind.
Of course. There's nothing else to focus on. I think most players don't even know sometimes what position they are in the tournament. I'm not even kidding. Like, they don't know what position they are in the tournament, let alone what's at stake. And I think it's better this way. They're just focusing on the team they have to play. Sometimes they don't know what team they play, that one is bad. But, you know, as long as you know who you're facing, you're good to go. Just sit down and play.
Just sit down and play. Well, we know that all the players are sitting down at the moment, and our commentary team is sitting down as well, and they're getting ready to get into this game number 2 between 9Pandas and Talon. Let's head over to Cap and SVG.
I do almost wonder if it would be better for 9Pandas if they didn't know who they were playing, considering their history between these two teams right now. Pandas currently being 0-5 against Talon, down a game in this series, but they're all playing for Ramses here. And I feel like that is a recipe for success for 9Pandas, Avery. If you could give some freedom to Kiyotaka to go do his thing, but put everybody else behind Ramses and let him do what he does best, which is carry games.
He almost did it last time. I was really impressed by how much impact he had in those later game fights as the Bloodseeker, just taking it to the Medusa. He honestly didn't make that matchup look too bad. I mean, it's such a bad matchup. It still looks bad, but it looked reasonable. So I think Ramses playing well today. It's not a bad spot if you're 9Pandas to just kind of put all your eggs in the Ramses basket and, I mean, believe in, what is he, a 5-time major champion?
It's not a bad person to believe in, honestly.
Yeah, if you need a carry player in the clutch, historically, he has been one of the ones to go to here. We'll see if 9Pandas can pull out a Game 2 win so far at this tournament. Been a lot of Game 3s, so it would not surprise me if they pull it back with a draft that is very flexible. Like, that's how I view it. I think Blood Grenade actually might just get Antares here.
Kiyotaka, how much do you want to take this for your support? The answer is not very much. He is in a rough matchup. Storm Spirit versus Ember Spirit can be a little bit bad if you lose too much of your regen in the battle for the bounty runes. So he would choose to give up First Blood, guaranteed, rather than let his own lane be ruined. As a result, Talon not only get First Blood, but they also get 3 bounty runes.
Very nice start for them, especially 23 on this Medusa, who cleans it up. He had 0 regen and going into the lane. Now he's going to be able to ferry out even more stats. This is a very good start for his CS battle. And, I mean, there's no way Kiyotaka tanks that. This matchup is going to be hard enough, let alone if he just removed all his HP before it started. No, we'll have to catch up a little bit of gold to get into that bottle. See if he can pan it out. Ultimately, I think 9Pandas draft is a bit faster on the map if the lanes go well between the Enchantress and the Skyroute. This is a very fast support duo that can rotate mid very early. They can contest all the runes. They can gank the Storm. They can shut down the Storm in some of the early fights between Searing Chains and Ancient Seal and maybe a Doom that comes online later. So I think this is a game where 9Pandas, they can take the fights early. They can also go late with the Juggernaut. It's a draft that can hit at any point, which is, you know, something that can feel very comfortable in a lot of these games. Even if you're going late, you still have a card to pull out.
And it takes the pressure off, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
we can win early, but we still have a fallback late game of the carry matchup. Q, is he going to die this last hit? It is not. Ramses is going to take a couple of shots for it. Hey, what did you make of this Darkseer pickup for Jabs, by the way?
Maybe there was some block action going on. Maybe it was just the best utility hero left in the pool. Like, they just wanted an aura buyer for the Deuce and Storm. Go behind him.
Body blocking. Beautiful stuff. Ramses is dead. Last hit's going to be collected by Q with the battery assault. A big experience bump for a lane that really needs it because they get super strong at level 3, right?
Yeah, that is not a kill that should have happened. Jab's just straight outplaying him here. Killing Jug with Darkseer at level 2 is insanity. And he will find the opening and put himself in a pretty decent position as Ramses has to come back. Does have boots, is working towards the phase boots. I mean, this probably won't hurt Ramses too much as he pushed the lane in. So CS-wise, if you're looking at this lane, it's 11-2 to 3-2. I mean, Jabs is still suffering in that department as he'll clean up a small Centaur to help him. But it's nice that they get the XP going for them, and that's mainly what the Darkseer wants. If you look at this game, the Darkseer doesn't need a lot of gold. He just needs some basic auras to go behind the Storm of Medusa, back them up in that ball. And if you play for the similar timings as last game, like second and third Roshan, that's where this lineup is pretty scary. That's the hill you have to overcome if you're 9Pandas.
Oh,
now, if you overcome it, you'll be happy.
That'll help make this lane go a little bit smoother for 9Pandas.
Zap, zap, zap.
Dude, it's insane how much damage you put out. With just the level 1 enchant, you get 4 different chain lightnings out, typically.
I think he got 3 there because that neutral Centaur stalled them up. I don't know why that was stunning them in the middle of the lane. He had other ideas. This lane should pull ahead over the long run. Ramsey's continuing to perform well in the CS department, should put him in a strong position. Mid is going in the favor of Makoto here, no way around it. 9 denies to 0. He's going to create an XP advantage, and it's already showing. So that gank option that you would really like online, it might be a little more difficult if the Storm gets a really fast 6 here. Then you might just have to fight him on the runes. I expect the 6-minute power rune to be something that 9Pandas can test, especially with Enchantress, Skywrath Mage, with pretty independent side laners here. I mean, if you leave this Doom and Juggernaut alone, I don't know if they're super happy, but they should be okay mostly.
Juggernaut definitely. Miro, depending on how fast he gets his Vanguard, I guess is whether or not is going to determine if he's happy or not being left alone in lane.
But he's a Doom, you know. I mean, Dooms always do Doom things.
And he's going to be doing a Doom thing of throwing a tornado into the lane, which
will
will push out the lane. I'm not sure if that's what he wanted,
Oh,
but yeah, they're
Boulder.
playing 3 heroes. Boulder! Oh! Blood Grenade plus the extra bit of damage. They only need a bit more, but Makoto is actually going to be able to have a lot of HP back. He's still at 10 stick charges to play for.
Where was the Boulder micro solo? You had 2 more to hurl out there.
Yeah.
Missed value. This is a very early rotation. And the lane equilibrium was not set up for this game because Makoto was really far back on his hill. This is earlier than I expected 9Pandas to crash on this lane. Maybe feeling the pressure of the matchup. The Storm being ahead of level is going to close that window faster than maybe they like here.
Yeah, it means he's probably going to be 6 before the 6-minute power run, which is...
Yes, very likely.
Very different timing, right?
I mean, if he gets that, it's very good for Talon. They can just fight those runes back. I don't know if he'll get it. He's kind of farming his way back in jungle here.
Yeah, I guess if he's not going to be playing lane anymore. I mean, at this point, I don't begrudge a more conservative approach from the Storm Spirit. He did good enough in lane. Just make sure you get your 6 and don't lose your timing too much.
I guess that gank did its job, in a sense. It brought Kiyotaka back on this lane in terms of the XP disadvantage. And it'll help them get that gank later if they want to look for it. Solo back bottom with the Warpine, putting in the work. He's got one more seed shot.
Hit him with that seed shot, baby.
Boom. Oh, we got the bounce. Damn. This guy's good. This guy's good. More damage will be left.
There's actually so many units for that to bounce to.
I'd be so annoyed if that hit me twice. What can you do? Makoto will guarantee his 6 off the neutral creeps here. Does not want to give up that kill. And he'll have it before the 6-minute rune. Kiyotaka can guarantee it. Stack.
Surprised they're not rushing to one side on the power runes.
I mean, they're just stacking jungle here.
They're just letting 9Pandas collect this.
It's a pretty decent rune for Kiyotaka if he wants to be aggressive. I mean, he went the chains build, so the shield rune's actually pretty damn nice here.
Yeah.
Gives him the tankiness on top of the offensive potential in this Storm. Don't have Ancient Seal up yet, however. 7-minute Wisdom rune will be vital for this 9Panda support duo to really ramp up the aggression. And if you're thinking about taking it to Talon's side of the map, you have a lot of upper dire jungle stacks waiting for you if you can get in there and stop 23 from clearing them out eventually. It's already, what is that, 9 camps stacked at 6.5 minutes? That's
Do
a lot.
you give this to 23? I feel like Talon have shown that a lot of times they want to spread that network to their more active heroes, which makes me think they would give it to Makoto.
You definitely give it to Makoto. Makoto did one of these as well. And, I mean, Solo's going to scout this out. So if you're 9Pandas, I think you want to contest at least some of these. This feels too greedy for me. If they just get all of it, I guess you're getting trades through Devour and a free-from Juggernaut. Maybe you don't feel too bad. I think the mid lane, though, is where you want to ramp up the action. With this support duo behind an Ember, some more Seed Shot going down.
Really good job, I think, by 9Pandas. Even if they don't get a kill out of this, just pushing back Ollie out of the experience range, and they're getting a lot of damage on this mid tower. Kiyotaka not quite enough to finish him up. He's going to go for the Remnant kill, but it doesn't actually hit. The explosion of the Fire Remnant doesn't do the damage. And
Not gonna get Q either.
They'll hold in here, but they force some rotations to get a lot of damage on that mid tower, that Orb of Corrosion. We talked a lot about this, how this mid-Ember Spirit, if left alone in lane, he will take your tower bit by bit with Orb of Corrosion.
This tower should inevitably go to 9Pandas here. I mean, they're bringing the Medusa in to help push this lane out, while Makoto, like you said, has been given the farm priority. The stacks are all going to him right now as he is clearing through it. It's going to be a big boon for the Storm here. They probably want a fast Orchid, is what it looks like on the menu. I'm over here. If you get that really fast here off the stack, suddenly you can start to control the map and ramp up the aggression into 9Pandas.
Is that specifically for the matchup against the Juggernaut? Like they want to gank him a couple times early in this game?
It definitely helps versus Battle Fury Jug build. We don't see a lot of just like necessarily straight Manta either. We've been seeing more of S&Y.
Yeah.
Great versus the Ember here, who doesn't want to go an early defensive item. He wants to scale in this game. It's going to be a good pickup. I mean, it also just lets you solo kill these supports way easier.
Sure.
I like the Orchid idea, and I like giving the prioritization for it. Downside is it puts 23 in a position where he kind of has to defend the map more.
Yeah. And he did have 20 Magic Wand charges. He's got a Lotus as well. So whenever you see him low, it's not necessarily the end of 23.
It's a very interesting prioritization because they're giving top lane for free here to Miro. I don't think he's seen an enemy hero in 4 minutes, as he is just greeting it up, pulling waves to neutral camps that are
Kodo might just have his chance to get his first kill. Solo slowed down quite a bit, got off the heel. Makoto's going to get in front of him, hit it with the Remnant, and they're going to go for the +1 here. And Tari's pulled back into Ollie with the silences. Double kill from Makoto.
And double the int. 4 on this silencer off that little skirmish. That is the tricky part about invading this jungle. Trying to collapse on that Storm Spirit. Very defensive orientation for Talon means they can easily respond. Here's the trade-off. The free tier 1 for Miro is getting chunked here. He got a lot of catch-up farm, and he will just go Midas.
23 Savage is like, guys, I can't defend all of these towers at once.
It's a lot of pressure on this Medusa to hold the map right now. More than I think he would have wanted, but he's done it pretty well and stayed up and farmed. They haven't found that kill on him. Makoto looking bottom. He wants this Juggernaut. No spin.
He already got off the healing ward, though. He's got the Omni Slash if he gets it off here, but the damage is enough. Good burst from Makoto.
That's just a really good rotation. And it's off the jabs. Pressure.
Yeah.
He has just been taking it to Ramsey's HP pool down here in this Juggernaut Darkseer matchup. Sets that kill up nicely. Do eventually get that tier 1 off the Orb of Corrosion. And another power rune will be Arcane here for Kiyotaka. Very happy about that one as he gets a low cooldown teleport to defend bottom.
It's not like 9Pandas has went out their own stacked up farm. Ember Spirit trying to catch Ollie here. The Surge got him. What a chase! How did that latch both heroes? Vacuum back in is beautiful, though. Kiyotaka is likely to be fine, but they do trade off supports.
Yeah, Makoto was still lingering, so he's happy to clean up some more gold off the kill. I mean, Arcane Rune's nice for Kiyotaka as we have a quick pause. Yeah, there are some stacks on Radiant Triangle as well. Honestly, I don't think solo mines trading out, especially since you don't lose in here, you know? You get to stay smart. Get some extra XP, and waste some more Storm Spirit mana while your cores are farming the map. Doom and Juggernaut top of the board here. Despite all that early stacking for the Storm Spirit, he's still getting outpaced, having been forced off the lane. And this is also, Cap, I must point it out, this is another game where Kiyotaka does not have his cosmetics.
Oh no.
And he noted it at the start.
Did he actually?
He said no set enjoyer.
Oh, maybe he intentionally was, you know, he took off his... Maybe that's his sense of intimidation. You know, everybody else, oh, we gotta restart the game, guys. I don't have my cosmetics. Maybe he intentionally took off his cosmetics to be like, this is what a real Chad looks like.
No.
Doesn't care about hats.
No, I guarantee you he is absolutely infuriated right now. As he asked, what's the reason for the pause?
Something fell. That's concerning. Something fell and they don't know what fell.
Oh, I have all Talon muted. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, you have him muted what, from the replay animator?
What do I have them? Yeah, probably.
From that, because you guys met in the upper bracket semifinals? For that tournament?
It always surprises me who I have muted from the old days, but there it is.
Well, you unmuted them now, right?
What fell? Their spirits after that game 3 yesterday. That too brutal, too soon? I don't know. You got to laugh these things off. You know, go next.
I actually did very much appreciate, I know it's been a very big deal. Everybody talked about 23 Savage and all that, but I think one of the things that's stuck with me after that series was the way that Jabs was there for 23 Savage.
Yeah, they had a good team reaction, honestly. It's about as good as you can do in that situation, you know? It's unfortunate. It's very sad. You messed up, but you got to go next. You're not out of the tournament. So you got to pull yourselves together, and that's what teammates are for. That's what makes a good team.
Old Slight Chain's another one. Kiyotaka, he doesn't have remnants, but he does have another slight. Slowing him down with the Orb of Corrosion. Jabs. Q is here. Hook shot. Oh, maybe a turnaround because he doesn't have those remnants. He had one left behind.
Well, he had a lot of time to think about that, and he had a lot of spells on top of the Arcane Rune. Ends up putting to work. 4-4-0 build out of this Ember. This is really ramping up how much he wants to get his supports involved in these little skirmishes and help lock down the Storm Spirit. And he's just going back in, man. He's got no chill.
Absolutely none. Because if he can push away that support, he can get even more damage on yet another tower.
I mean, the other upside of this build is normally when you go this Flame Guard build, you clear a lot more waves. He has a Jug and a Doom who have just been ricing the whole map right now.
Yeah.
So if he's just going to run around and skirmish, you may as well go the 4-4-0, right? Like, he's not going to do some stack on the triangle. He's not going top to pushing a wave and take another tier 1.
Sure.
He's going to fight and make space in his game. I think 9Pandas know how their lineup functions right now, and they're prioritizing the correct heroes in the right way. And it's working out so far as they pull a little bit ahead in this early game, despite the Talon economy efficiency in the jungle. And it's probably going to get better with this Max Devour. Midas picking up some speed, especially if you can get to the Battle Fury on Ramses before that Orchid on the Storm comes into play and can find some cheeky kills on him. Falcon Blade first for Makoto. We're going to slow it up a little bit. He's still very farmed and still having a very good game here. 4-0 for the Storm. And now he has supports to back him up. Global Silence plus Hookshot is also going to open up a lot of the fights for the Storm. It means he doesn't have to jump first. But if he does jump first, he has that Global to bail him out versus the Ancient Seal. And Battle Fury done for Ramses. 12.5 here. Man, this is really good timing. This is like prime Juggernaut Battle Fury Treads timing straight into a massive Ancient stack. We'll push him up to level 10 to boot. And of course the Broom Handle, yes. There to help sweep out the trash.
Will they be sweeping out Talon? Would they sweep themselves out?
That's true. Tournament? It could be anybody.
Could be either.
That's the beauty of Dota. At any point, you can be a god or you can be a piece of garbage.
Global Silence put to work here, trying to kill the Ember Spirits. They need kills like this because it does feel like 9Pandas is out farming them. I was going to say, with the way you were talking about all this farm that they're getting out of this situation, it feels like the Orchid is going to have to hit really hard from Makoto.
Diffusal?
Yeah, he went for it. He had been queued up for a while, and he now commits to it.
What?
Q in no hook shot to get out of this situation, so he's very dead. 9Pandas respond to that missed gank opportunity on the Ember Spirits with a gank of their own.
This is an insanely aggressive Ember itemization.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the last time I've seen Diffusal on this hero. I mean, okay, your verse, you know,
look what he's going to do right now.
Your verse Storm Medusa, it makes sense from a item theory standpoint.
He's keeping Jabs out of this Wisdom Rune. They're
so
going to bring some heroes over, but they might not be here in time. Kiyotaka.
Burning his mana.
Yeah, he does have a little bit for the Mag. Jabs really wants a Wisdom Rune, and they will get it. And you know what? The Ember Spirits is like, oh I just drew 4 heroes here. Hook shot does land on Tari's. He's going to turn around Mystic Flare, but not enough damage to kill.
Everybody. 5 heroes to defend this Wisdom Rune that they get on the Darkseer as their mana all gets burned. I mean, the thing with this Diffusal is you're playing into Global. You're playing into a hook shot in a Storm who can guarantee the Global and perhaps an Orchid coming out. This Manta is going to be a long time away. Now, if you get to the Manta, this build could really pay off with the extra mana burn off the Chains duration versus the Storm and the Dusa. It's just a question of, are you going to get punished trying to get there? So far, Kiyotaka has dodged the kill. Also, that Spark of Courage. This neutral item is just insane. Like, the fact that you're getting damage off this, and then when you get jumped on, you're getting the armor, helped them survive earlier. These slights really hurt right now. Kiyotaka taking control of the skirmishes, and it is feeling great for the rest of his team as the Doom and the Juggernaut have still basically gone untouched here in the last 5 minutes.
They're getting big, man. The Orchid is finally done. Makoto's going to be able to fly out the recipe, and he can buy the Cornucopia while he's out on the map. He also just used a regen rune, so he's going to be back up to full mana. So the Talon got to strike. This is their time to put those claws to use.
It's going to be the best winner to get aggressive action going until your next set of like aura items are out. I do think the Greaves on the Darkseer and the Lotus that is being built on the clock, you're going to have 2 good Dispels versus this Chains build that is really going to help you stick in the fight. Also, just building up the Lotuses and the armor for the Omni Slash later is going to be something that Talon can think about. Like, you go back to that
goes
game
to the
1.
Ember Spirit.
Yep, very true.
This is so important. Oh, he zipped away. He jumped to the Remnant right as he went for the zip. Now the Orchid has been revealed. This was such a crucial moment for Kiyotaka. This next 10 minutes, it could be jubilation because the Manta works, or it could be death stare if it doesn't.
I think if you don't find the 1 or 2 kills on the cores with this Orchid, 9Pandas are going to be pretty happy with that outcome. And Makoto is not going to feel great about it once these Mantas come out.
Is under attack.
You're also overlapping this in a global silence lineup. So anytime you play for Silencer, you're automatically eventually going to be itemizing for Dispels, spell immunity here. It kind of just adds some extra value, right?
Makoto wants this Kiyotaka kill so badly, man. He's triangulating the slight. You're like, where is he coming from?
I don't think he can solo. Can he solo kill him?
He needs Q. In fact, Q's going to go through the gate.
I guess
Might
he has
actually give him the vision.
He does have global. Maybe he can solo kill him.
Gets a defensive remnant out on Kiyotaka. Q finally goes through the gate.
I mean, if you're going to try, you got to try now. This is a Shelled Darkseer on, or Shelled Clockwork, so you have extra damage as well.
Oh, he went for the Watcher, and immediately they pounce on him. That Orchid, it should be enough almost by itself, but they even have Q just to make sure with the hook shot. So, Orchid, it pays off once. Needs more of those kills, though, for it to be worth it.
Meanwhile, there's a Doom on Jabs as Miro ramps up the aggression with that Octarine finish. I don't think he's going to get it, though.
No, he's trying to make this kind of play by himself. Well, maybe not. Antari's going to come in and actually get the finishing blow here. But he's probably going to get caught. At least the Doom is certainly dead. Antari's not going to be slowed down. There was just not enough mana on Makoto.
And Ramsey's even debating getting involved himself, but decides neutral creeps are worth more here. Well, they trade out offlaners, except your Midas is off cooldown, so what's that even?
And your Doom is on cooldown.
See the last hitting here by the Centaur. Very important he gets all this. He did not get all of it. Solo.
Shame.
Too old to micro the Centaur here.
Yeah, he's so focused on trying to micro the Centaur that he dies to the gank that I feel like was...
That was all of Storm's mana.
Inevitable.
Yeah, he's been pretty aggressive shoving these waves. I don't mind it. Stall this game out, get your jug of the timings. It will be second item Butterfly. Once again for 23 is basically just become the default.
Yeah.
And a Gossamer Cape. These Gossamer Capes are always nice versus the Ember. Especially with this Diffusal build. You remove a little bit more as well. It's going to be some decent evasion timing here for 23. Something that 9Pandas are not going to be able to deal with as they're itemizing for the Medusa, and it's going to pay off later. It's just going to take a little bit longer to get there, and I think if you're Talon, you probably want to force the Roshan when that hits. Yeah. You get this Butterfly, do the first Rosh, you have Darkseer Auras to back you up. Should be a pretty good window. But damn, is Ramsey's big, man. And he's going back for a Diffusal of his own. So that Manta, you're going to have a Manta Diffusal Juggernaut, a Manta Diffusal Ember Spirit.
They want to make sure they have answers to the Medusa. Which means the other members of Talon, you either got to all in and hit their timing like they tried to with the Butterfly last game, and it did eventually work, or other heroes are going to have to step up and help assist in that late game damage. And I think part of that is the snowball from Makoto, which his kills off the Orchid has gotten him now to Kaya. Still kind of needs to keep that ball rolling, though. He's going to try and... Oh, Kiyotaka! Global Silence into the Orchid. Hook shot just to make sure. A little bit more damage. They got it. The Clock's pushback, that is just enough. Dude's going to go for a desperate TP out. And he makes it. Oh, very nice.
They got everything they want out of that. Even some tier 1 damage on top, and 23 gets involved, so extra gold for him. They're stacking these globals on the Orchid to prevent any sort of turnaround potential from 9Pandas. It looks a bit awkward, but you don't want your Storm getting doomed or Ancient Sealed on those attempts.
They managed to get Doom off onto the Medusa before it's Stone Gaze. The rest of the team, though, is going to struggle to get here. Once again, Miro jumps on a hero that he can't actually finish by himself, and Talon will be able to respond just like last time. That immediate Orchid put onto Antares while they try and finish off solo. Not enough damage, though. Vacuum,
we got
vacuum.
four!
Oh, beautiful vacuum, grabbing 3 heroes. Talon still have a hard time, though. They're pushing up to this high ground. They do manage to get Solo off of the extra illusion damage. But
I don't know why I thought it was 4. That's NA math right there, but he'll get a wall.
Ramsey's actually
jump on
got
Ramsey.
Oh, no! +2. They could afford small little pickoffs like the Enchantress, but losing their carry. Now that is going to smart for Talon as the smarts grow on Ollie. Now up to 10 intelligence stolen.
That was such a casual, they just walked in and got a massive back, and then Ramses is there, gets absolutely nothing done except putting himself in the grave, and now you got an Ancient stack stolen as well off of tier 1. 3-man Mystic Snake off the back. Maybe not the combo that you think about, but one that did some work here.
Oh, the healing ward died early. That's probably a big part of why Ramses gets low here.
He still has everything up at this point. I'm surprised he just doesn't get anything off, right? Like, no spin, no Manta on this jump.
Yeah.
The reaction was just not there. No other way to put it. As Talon take full advantage of Jabs showing up on time with that Blink Dagger on the Darkseer and immediately puts it to work. Yeah, Ramsey's not happy about that one. These are not the fights you can give up on these super high net worth cores that have been farming neutral creeps the whole time, especially into Medusa, who suddenly not only has that butterfly, she already has an ultimate orb and halfway to the second.
Yeah, nice Manta and Diffusal timing. What are you going to do against the butterfly? How can you put damage on him? How can you burn her mana if you can't hit her?
Yeah, this butterfly is crazy strong right now. First itemization from 9Pandas. And they're still looking for a Doom connection in this game. That Doom on mid was incredibly ambitious when you don't even have the Mystic Flare to throw out.
Yeah, the top lane
hero in the
Doom
game.
on the Darkseer, he traded himself out for it.
And then this mid one just backfires horribly. Got to think about who you're doing in this game. And ideally, you're finding the Storm or the Darkseer, because if you Doom the Medusa, there's just a Surge waiting for him. And you don't care. This Darkseer Doom matchup is not that one-sided if you're not going on the Darkseer or the big target.
Shield Rune will not protect him from this Orchid, but the Force Staff might. Never mind, backing back down. Good play from Jabs. He's really reading these escapes and setting up nicely. His Blink Dagger build is also really nice. He's following Makoto's initiation in. Instead of trying to complete up like his Guardian Greaves or Crimson Guard first.
It's worked, right? They have not needed the extra defensive auras here. And now he's just gone for a bot. So getting even greedier here.
And he's also not completing a Crimson Guard or Guardian Greaves. He wants a Lotus Sword next, which is a cool idea to help that Storm Spirit even more. Jump in for the hook shot. Makoto follows it up. There is no doubt that Makoto's build has paid off in this game.
He's 9-0, man. This doesn't feel like a game where Storm is just killing everybody, but he is actually just killing everybody.
It doesn't feel like that, I think in part because the net worth is only 4,000 for Talon.
Yeah, it's not some crazy map. I just feel like they're getting so much out of this for the Medusa, and this Dusa is a hero that has caused so many teams problems.
That was halfway through the animation of Electric Vortex.
I mean, you're lucky to get out.
Yeah. And he's, like, if he gets his Manta delayed any further,
I'm worried for the effectiveness of these Manta Diffusals going into this Roche fight that I feel like you really want to contest here with how much effort you put into keeping up with the net worths. You got to put them to use at some point.
Oh, no way! That was such a close force Blink Dagger on the jetpack hook shot there. Looks like they may still collect, though. In fact, maybe they could even get better. Ramses does manage to get off the spin, but he's now globally silenced. Healing Ward finally goes out after he pops the Manta, but he's immediately stunned up, so can't get anything off in return. It turns out better for for Talon than they ever could have dreamed of. Went from killing the Doom to killing Juggernaut.
Nothing going right for Ramses in this game. A hero and player that they put their hopes behind to scale and have, in theory, a perfect game to be able to deal with the Medusa. Right now, he's having trouble dealing with Makoto. Just killing him through the spin. And you already have that Lotus up. You're going to have a Greaves and another Lotus at some point on Jabs. These Omni Slashes are not going to be easy. Manta turned the Diffusal into the mana burn.
He is burning away some of the mana from Makoto. Too bad 9Pandas aren't strong enough to punish that. He's still going to get caught. Man.
This game is just crumbling. It's crumbling right now for 9Pandas. They need a team fight desperately. They just can't find their footing.
I mean, they're being so dominant, it feels like they could just go high ground without doing Roshan, which is crazy to say.
I think you can. This Dusa is insanely strong right now. He is 6-0 and 6 with 300 CS. Absolute beast on this map, as they just gobbled up this hero first phase. I mean, why not, right? even when you're in these games where it feels like Deuce's countered, the hero's still going to do her job. She's still strong on lane. She still farms incredibly fast. She gives you great team fight. There are very little downsides to this hero in general, outside of you just mass counterpick it. Talon have upped the priority here, perhaps after some of those series yesterday where this hero pulled out miracles.
Yeah.
It's looking great so far. The onus is on 9Pandas right now to find an answer to Talon on the map. Maybe this smoke is it. They have Blink BKB for Miro. I think you can Blink Doom the Dusa if you connect it with the Omni Slash. Unfortunately, your smoke got broken on a creep wave and a ward. They see everything right now.
Oh, can they chain this? Hook shot into the global, got off the Manta immediately afterwards. There goes the follow-up silence, so he has to spin away. Now, the Doom on the Storm is going to stop Talon a little bit here, but 23 is still looking pretty strong. And what a jump from Jabs. Another three-man vacuum that sets up 23 to just cleave through the supports. They finish off the Juggernaut, the Enchantress, and chase away the Doom. Oh, and Antares is going to get caught as well. Man, Jabs. And more body blocking, the same body blocking he used to kill Ramses in the very first kill of the game.
These silences, they're forcing out the spin in the Manta so early from Ramses that he just has to run away because he can't get the Omni off. This is a zero impact game from the Juggernaut so far as he's still looking for his first kill or assist, and it's just all due to Talon being in the right place at the right time with good vision and good utility, making it very difficult. Now there's a Lincoln's on 23. 2 Lotus Orbs between Jabs and Q. These Omni Slashes, they're not getting any easier, man.
10,000 net worth lead. Talon have really picked it up in this game, man. I thought for a second I was a little bit concerned. I was like, man, 15 minutes. You know, we're getting an occasional Orchid kill, but the last 10 minutes, they've just demolished 9Pandas. And again, taking more and more objectives without needing to do Roshan. That's how strong they are in comparison to 9Pandas right now.
I mean, at least it's 4-2-2. Makoto will
look at the little
continue his rampage
while you are losing all the big ones.
It's just Ramses again.
Dies again. This is 9Pandas crumbling right now.
Man, I thought he was going to get some value out of this Orchid, but this has just been ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even with the Manta in the spin, you have Global and Hookshot. It's just forcing out such an early defensive usage that you're just right-clicking through it. And Makoto, 10-0 and 8 here.
There's so many times where they've gotten the silence on him while he's spinning, and then he like, when he comes back from that spin, he can't immediately Omni-Slash it like you would usually do to keep your survivability going.
The Vortex doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you force the spin out early, it means you can just throw a disable on him near the end, and there is no opportunity to even get this Omni off right now. 9Pandas looking for answers as they're stuck in a similar situation to last game, which is 23 hitting their base, only he doesn't even need the Aegis. He's just so damn big. They're bypassing Roche entirely.
By Solo. They are truly giving up on this lane of barracks.
Doom back
Juggernaut's back up. Miro's trying to get the initiation. Runs into the Medusa. Doesn't want to take that. Looks like Talon should be able to escape to even take away the wards from 9Pandas on their way out.
Ideally, you want to find some supports between the Ember and this Juggernaut. Maybe
Jetpack is going to get a lot of information. The man's get the hook shot out of Kiyotaka. Push him back with the cogs, and he's going to die here with the vacuum. Pull back on 2 other heroes with the Stone Gaze going out at the same time. Ramses just cannot get anything off, man. A silence, a Manta, a global silence. It's all countering 9Pandas moves.
Way too much control, and it has been executed way too well by Talon here, as Ramses is shut out from another fight again. Have we even seen a signal Omni Slash here?
I don't think we have.
When you're looking down a second lane, you're gonna have to Doom the Dusa.
Oh, we got the Lotus bounce back, so Miro's gonna be doomed up here as well. An aggressive force down put onto Antares. He gets put into the cogs, and now, oh, Kiyotaka, a jump away, but Makoto's just waiting for him on the other side.
That's it.
GG is called, and Talon, another 2-0 against 9Pandas, and another top 4 finish for them.
beautiful result so far for Talon as they come in here, even getting knocked in the lower bracket. It has not killed their momentum. Going up against a familiar opponent that maybe they had a lot of confidence. Something about this matchup has never worked for 9Pandas, and it continues not to work. A very frustrating way to go out of this tournament for them, especially this last game. They just got shut out. 4 kills in 30 minutes. Not something we're used to seeing from one of the best killing teams in the world right now. Talon just had their number through and through. A very impressive game too. In a draft that was fairly even, honestly. I feel like a lot of this just came down to map execution. Where the Storm is going, who he's jumping, the global silence to back him up, really causing 9Pandas problems. And the supports weren't able to get the aggressive action going into the Storm off the mid matchup because they just stacked for him and protected the jungle. 23 had pretty decent early map positioning that they were unable to take advantage of other than farming up the Doom. Damn well executed game from Talon here, as they are looking like a scary opponent going through this lower bracket.
And they need that momentum, right? Because now they're facing one of the toughest bosses, Gaming Gladiators, who, again, came into this tournament the strongest team, and they have to play a second series today to be able to keep moving forward and get top 3 and play in the final day of Riyadh Masters. Meanwhile, we're going to be saying goodbye to 9Pandas. I mean, they did have a great performance, I would say. I know they wanted to go further, but they have been one of my favorite teams to watch this season. I think that, you know, this is a squad that just continues to get stronger over the season. You know, at the very start, they're like, oh, BBT, they're going to be the big team and stuff, but I think 9Pandas have kind of quietly risen in the ranks after each one of these majors, after each one of these DPCs, and they do look like one of the best teams in the world. Not good enough to take down Talon, though. Sometimes, I mean, we actually talked about this a little bit. Sometimes it's about matchups, right?
Yes.
Who you run into in the lower bracket matters.
I mean, this whole tournament is some of it too. Like, Eastern Europe has been very dominant this event, and they had to run into each other early.
Yeah.
So it kind of pushes you back, and then you're in a position where, like, one more bad matchup, right, and you're just out. There's not a lot of teams left. Some of these are very good versus each other. Some of them are very weak versus each other. This Talon matchup has just been their bane the whole year, and, you know, maybe if they had another route, it looks a little different. Unfortunately, they will re-face their demons.
Well, let's go to the winners interview Talon. Give them their opportunity to talk before we see them later today as well.
That's right, I am joined with 23 Savage of Talon. I asked you at the beginning of the match if you were ready. You gave a very, how much emotion were you giving me there? It's like a
0.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you recognize that as well, because you left all the emotion on the gameplay. You did it all right there on the field. A 2-0 out of you. That was a quicker series than I was expecting. How did it feel on your end?
Great. It's good.
Oh, okay, you're imitating my pure interview now, I see.
نايس اعزائي المشاهدين زي ما تشوفون معنا 23 سافج من فريق تالون بعد ما خلصوا الجيم 2-0 لصالحهم وبكذا استبعدوا 9 بانداز من البطوله واستمروا الان معنا في اللور براكت راح يلعبون مره ثانيه ان شاء الله في الليل. سالناهم السؤال الاول اللي وش تتوقع يصير في البطوله، وش متوقع انكم تشوفون من الاداء اللي طلع من فريق 9 بانداز؟ كان جوابه انه كلمه واحده يقول شيء كويس يعني بس.
23, I don't want you to overcorrect, though, because obviously the loss that you guys had in upper bracket was a tough one. And I wanted to know, how did you spend, like, the next day? Because coming into this, expectations were that, you know, your team would have a difficulty recovering, that you might, but this was rock solid out of you.
I don't care what other people think. I just care about my family, the loved one. So nothing can make me feel sad.
Respect.
زي ما تشوفون سألنا السؤال الثاني بخصوص اللي صار في المباراة الماضية بعد ما فريق ليكويد كان المفروض انه فاز عليهم او كانوا هم المفروض فازوا على التيم ليكويد الجيم، لكن بالاخير صار فيها الكامباك وكلنا نعرف وش صار. فسألناه انه الناس متوقعة انه ادائكم في الجيم هذا بيكون سيء نوعا ما بحكم انكم طلعتوا من منتاليتي جدا صعبة، فوش اللي كان تغير معكم لان الجيم هذا كان جدا كويس. كان الجواب يقول انا ما همني صراحة وش اللي يقولونه كل الناس، انا همني بس الناس اللي احبهم، الناس اللي قريبين مني واهلي هم اللي يهمني رايهم، اما الباقي ما يهمني صراحة.
I don't know if you could take me back to the Lima Major, but that's the last time that we saw your team make a run this far in the tournament. Since all the months have passed in between, what has happened in terms of improvement, the growth for you and Talon as a whole?
I think we play the lane better now. I really believe in my lane and Oli. And I think we just trust each other more. And this time, I think we can beat every team. It's different from last time.
Was the trust something that has come naturally just with playing with each other, or is this something that you've been trying to work on intentionally to gather more trust amongst each other?
I think it just comes. We didn't realize.
زي ما تشوفون سألنا سؤال الثالث والأخير معنا في المقابلة. نتكلم عن آخر مرة شاهدنا فريق تالون يوصل إلى المرحلة هذه من أي بطولة كان في الليما ميجر، والآن نشوفهم أنهم مستمرين معنا وأدائهم فعلا قاعد يتطور بشكل كبير مع أنه صار شهور من ما شفنا الميجر هذا. جوابه يقول أنه إحنا صراحة تطورنا من ناحية أنه عرفنا نلعب اللين بشكل أفضل وصرنا نوثق ببعض أكثر، والشيء هذا جاء بشكل طبيعي مو بحنا اللي خططنا له، بس هو يعني الشيء هذا قدر يصير من نفسه، وأدائنا الحين نقدر أننا نهزم أي فريق موجود في البطولة.
In just a couple of hours, we will have you on this stage once again to face off against Game and Gladiators, but you guys haven't had an opportunity to face them on LAN, right? Just online. So how do you feel about their current state of their team versus yours?
I don't think we really think about them. We just play our game. And I think if we just play our game, we'll win every game.
سؤال ايضا الاضافي اللي سالناه اللاعب كان يتكلم عن المباراه القادمه لهم ضد جيمنج جلاديترز. احنا زي ما احنا عارفين هم اكثر فريق دوميننت الان في البطوله، فايش ممكن انكم تسوون في هذه المباراه؟ جوابه كان يقول صراحه احنا بس بنلعب جيمنا، واذا احنا سوينا الشيء اللي احنا نبغى نسويه نقدر نهزم اي فريق، فما يهم سواء كان جيمنج جلاديترز او اي فريق ثاني.
All right, then 23, I will let you prepare, which, how did you say you were going to spend the next few hours?
Sleep.
Perfect. Get some power hours in there, and thank you very much, 23, as we send it back to the studio.
زي ما تشوفون 23 سافج، واتوقع اغلبيه فريق تالون راح ياخذون غفوه الان قبل مباراتهم الجايه، لكن بعدها نشوف شو ممكن يقدمونه، فعلى طول نروح للاستديو.
Hey, some people operate best when they've had a power nap. So 23 Savage having that power nap in preparation of a series, not something that is unusual. Talon smashing this game too, though. This was unusual to see 9Pandas on the Radiant side anyway. But Talon making the most out of their side, and they ran over 9Pandas. This was such dominating performance for them in the entire series. We could see 23 Savage 2 games in a row on his Medusa, and this game we thought potentially 9Pandas had a better answer, but Seb, that did not prove to be the case.
I mean, they put a lot of emphasis in the draft on shutting down the Storm Spirits and pressuring through the mid lane. And once they actually hit these timings, when Sky and Ench had enough levels and Ember also got level 6, basically Talon did something really smart. They just sent the Medusa. Medusa actually TP'd minute 7, and he just laned there, which is really unconventional. And the Storm actually started jungling and pressuring side lanes when Medusa was just there. And you know, 9Pandas, I think they got really confused by what Talon actually did, because they just stood there for maybe 2-3 minutes. Just they tried to poke the Medusa, it did nothing, and then they were like, well, how the hell do we utilize our heroes? Because these heroes are not going to scale into Medusa, and they did not. They had one hero, it's Shock, but honestly, like, all the way till the Jug, I was saying it during the draft, it is some of the worst heroes in the game against Medusa, literally. Like, she's completely untouched. Everything was on Ramses, but they needed some kind of early game advantage or tempo in order to close this game, and it just didn't come. With a very simple answer from Talon, but very unconventional, very creative. When your carry is like, I'll just hold the map for you guys from minute 7 and on. So honestly, great read from Talon, just showcasing that not only are they really good at executing, they're also very creative and very smart.
And I just want to give my kudos to Mikoto on that Storm Spirit. That was beautifully played. He had so many heroes running at him, but he still managed to have a lot of impact. He left the lane at some point, like Seth mentioned, when there was pressure going on, and then they just put the Medusa on there, but he was in the jungle farming stacks, keeping his net worth up, and at no point in the game did they have any kind of control for Storm Spirit, because not only was he not shut down on lane, but there were no answers within their draft in terms of stuns. So if they couldn't shut him down there, there was no shutting him down at any point of the game either.
Yeah, for me, game 1 was like a significant draft advantage for Talon, and game 2, like we were saying we liked the 9Pandas draft, but I think that game was just Talon showing like they were the far superior team today. Like they just freaking owned. Like everything Seb mentioned, everything Mira mentioned, like that was just clean and dominant.
Yeah. They were a step ahead, and normally, you know, we look at some big, nice team fight happening. This game didn't really have that because Talon was so dominant. We could take a look at our SDC play that we want to analyze. It was just another case of basically Talon just getting the upper hand here, Effie.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look over here. So we see the Storm Spirit, the Medusa got stimmed. We see the Storm Spirit zip in, clean up the kill here on the Enchantress. He gets away with the force stop. I mean, this is kind of the story. If you're doing this Medusa and nothing is happening...
I mean, she's running at you while being doomed. You know, there's a problem with the draft when your doom makes the enemy run at you. That's usually not what you want it to have happen, right?
Yeah, and then there's just this beautiful back wall play by the Darkseer. We talked about being addressed within the draft by the Enchantress, but you have to respect the strength of this hero's team fight, regardless of whether or not he gets shut down on lane. If he joins a fight and gets that back wall, everything changes.
Yeah, Talon just ran at 9Pandas, and I think 9Pandas is just banking on Talon's games. They normally go very late, so they're like, you know what, we're gonna have an answer very late, and then they didn't have an answer earlier on, and here we are. And when we're talking about our Qiddiya MVP, there's only one person that comes to mind, because Dota 2 is a very, very emotionally driven game, as we have seen over the last couple of days. There was emotional run high, the pressure is immense, and being able to recover and going into your next series fresh, and then also dominate, that takes some next level class, Brian.
Yeah, we saw the Makoto tip coming out to 23 Savage at the end of that play of the game, and I have to imagine that he's the one doomed saying, like, this doesn't matter, like, go get him, guys. He's the one leading the charge back in, and I mean, he was just on fire today. Obviously not the Morphling type of heroes we've been seeing him play, with just like a very staple, reliable carry like Medusa, but like at the end of the day, this man has shown us that he can carry the game in multiple different ways, and that he will be the be-all, end-all, reliable carry that we need out of him.
And not just that, all of Talon were playing on point today. I mean, every single player in both of these matches did everything that they were supposed to do at every point. Makoto delivered, Q delivered, Ollie delivered, Jabs delivered, and this just spells some really hopefulness for their upcoming games, because not only does it mean that they recovered mentally after their upper bracket loss versus Liquid, but it means that they were able to comfort 23 Savage after their last loss, and they still love and trust each other and can play well together.
Yeah, Seb, we heard 23 say on the stage just now, I mean, the only opinion he cares about is that of his loved ones and the people that he trusts. That's the way he's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, shut up, haters. You know,
Yeah.
watch me on. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these guys haven't lost a series in the playoffs yet.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, of course, they lost to Liquid, but come on, they actually beat Liquid. And so every team they've been facing right now so far, they've beaten them. So they're a very scary team to go against, and props to him for bouncing back as well as he did. It was not easy, but he did it with a lot of brilliance. And yeah, I mean, 9Panda is not, I mean, of course, they might have looked a little bit shaky and weak in the game too, but they're not. They were one of the strongest teams here in this tournament, and we have like the finest from all around the world, and everybody's full force. So it's a big, big statement from Talon going forward.
It is indeed, and indeed with that also 9Pandas taking their exit here from Riyadh Masters, and for that we head to Tsunami, who's standing by with Ramses.
Thank you very much. I'm standing by with Ramses of 9Pandas. A difficult loss, no doubt, but I was wondering if you wouldn't mind just taking me through what's going through your mind after such a intense tournament this has been. Like I said, you guys have played the most games out of everyone, and unfortunately the journey ends here, and I just wanted to know what's on your mind.
I don't know what to say. Like, we just played not good today, and game one we should win, I'm sure, after they buyback. I don't know, we made a lot of mistakes, and like not taking openers, like we not do anything when they have a call down spells, and like, I don't know, we're just playing bad today.
It happens to the best of us, and honestly, the way that this tournament has gone, we've seen some honestly ridiculous results both ways, where teams that should have won don't, and teams that do win do. So it just seems to be a flip of the coin. In terms of your team's growth, however, we've seen quite a bit of your journey, all the way from Tour 1 to Lima to Berlin to Bali to now. If you had to pick out some things that you're proud of from the growth of your team and you as a player, as a captain, as a drafter also, what are some positives that you at least could take away from this tournament?
I'm proud of my team. I like this tournament. We enjoy to play Dota. I think it's... I don't know.
I understand. But then, if you like Dota, then, I mean, you've still got more Dota to look forward to. What's your plan for the next 2 months as you look forward to preparing for Seattle?
We need to chill a bit before TI. We maybe play some tournaments, maybe online, I don't know. And just be prepared for TI. It's hard to say because we are like all the tournaments, we have a top 6, top 4. Like we are on the same level. We're not going up. We need to do something with this. We can play better and get a better position on the tournaments. At least this.
It's a championship mentality, Ramses, but let me tell you, even though it's not championship finishes, the consistency, regardless, is still very impressive to see out of your team. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you everyone for cheering for us. I love my friends. Cheer for 9Pandas. We will try to show our best on the TI. See you, guys.
Cheer for 9Pandas, friends. Back to the panel.
Yeah, it's always tough getting eliminated, especially the closer you are to the top. It feels like the teams just take it a little harder because they feel like they were so close, and 9Pandas has been so close so many times. But we do have to look forward to the rest of Riyadh Masters. 9Pandas will have to wait as they will prepare for the international, but Riyadh Masters in full swing, and we now only have 4 teams remaining. I have to do math there for a little bit. And I know that, Seb, we won't be able to have you here for your thoughts on some of the series upcoming, so I figured I'd take the liberty of asking now, because yesterday, Faith Lian said that Quest was the best shot this tournament had to take out Gaming Gladiators. We've seen Talon perform just now at Talon versus Gaming Gladiators. It's our final match. What do you think?
I mean, let's see when Talon face like a more structured and versatile team. So definitely they have what it takes. But actually, if I had to pick a team to defeat Gaming, I'm not going to talk about Liquid, but I want to pick Team Spirit, because I think what Gaming has been better at in these games is like the late game, the discipline with the late game, taking the right fight at the right time. And one team that has been even better than them at that, I think, is Team Spirit. Like they're so good at understanding when can they fight, the little opening that you give them, and they give none. They've been overcoming like 25k, 30k gold net deficit, which is completely insane. So I think Gaming will not have that advantage against them. So I could see this matchup as being very tough for Gaming. And obviously, I mean, at this point, all these four teams are good enough to just win it. And I think Blitz gave an interview when he said it is terrifying, the teams and the level of the teams. Everybody can beat everybody. So it's just like, you know, the Wild West out here, and let's see what happens.
I mean, I agree with what Seb said, but I think Talon actually have a chance to beat Gaimin. I think they can cause an upset, because if you look at how Liquid beat Gaimin, they beat Gaimin with 2 TAs and 3 Monkey Kings. And you know what team has one of the best TA players and one of the best Monkey King players in the world? It is Talon Esports. And I think Nisha was just so on fire in that series versus Gaimin, and it exposed a little bit of holes maybe in how to exploit some of Quinn's gameplay. And Mikoto has been looking just as solid. So if there is an upset chance, I think it could be Talon too.
How about you, Brian?
I mean, I out of all the teams in the tournament, their upper bracket journey, I think Talon was the most difficult. Like they technically should have, like Seb said, effectively beat Liquid, right? Like they had everything in the cards for them to win that series, and then they also beat Quest. So they've already knocked 2 Western European teams off their belt.
Yeah, what's a third?
Yeah, what's the third one exactly? So I'm on the side with Mira here. I think that I think they're gonna take it.
Oh, I am so looking forward to that series. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing. However, I mean, we're getting spoiled here today, because guess which other series will be great and amazing? It's our upper bracket finals. One of the 2 teams that is playing right now will be guaranteed one of our grand finalists here at Riyadh Masters. I'm of course talking about Team Liquid versus Spirit. That series will be the next one on the docket. We're gonna have a little bit of a break. Like, you have time to get yourself some snacks, get yourself some drinks. You're gonna have to order in food real soon though, because in about 15 minutes it's time for Team Liquid and Team Spirit to go head to head. So stay tuned for more Riyadh Masters.